Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the interview today. Now, some of you were on the other link. Hopefully you catch this link and you're here now. But what happens when you get somebody like Jairek Robbins on and you start chatting about things that geeky guys like us chat about, like meditation and connecting little electrodes to your brain and watching your state change. So that's what we were talking about. We ran a little bit late, so Be Live decided to make us start a new program. So here, welcome to the program. Jairek, how you doing, my friend?
Very well. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone who's out there in Facebook world. I just clicked share, so hopefully some people will jump on and join us.
Let's get some sharing going on. And what I like to do is, let me introduce you correctly here, brother. I'm really excited that you're here, by the way, Jairek. I know that you've been a man dedicated to helping professionals like you achieve success by living with purpose in your life and business. And at only 23 years old, Jairek was awarded the Congressional Award, the Gold Medal from the United States Congress. He has conducted trainings for a variety of companies and organizations, including the United States Marines, the Air Force, Special Forces, the UBS, BMW rather, REMAX, and members of the U.S. Olympic team. Jairek is a trusted advisor and board member to a variety of different companies and has founded 2 companies of his own. Today, and I believe now you're 34-year-old with over a decade of performance coaching experience, continues to unlock secrets for maximizing performance and organizational success. And he's just getting started. As an innovator, Jairek is applying his own philosophy and living a life of adventure, philanthropy, and entrepreneurship. Whether it's cage diving with great white sharks, hanging with silverbacks in Rwanda, whitewater rafting down the Nile, working as a volunteer in underdeveloped regions, Jairek is out in the world living fully, loving deeply, and striving to do something that matters. So again, welcome to the show, my friend.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you everyone in Facebook world out there. Nice to see you. Hopefully you're having an amazing day. Happy Memorial Day to those here in the U.S. Thank you for your service and all that you do.
Absolutely. It is one of those, thank you for all the service folks that are out there, and all that's been happening. Thank you for being back in the States and working with me, although we could have done this from anywhere you're at on the planet. Where were you most recently in the world, Jairek?
Our last trip was actually something that was very exciting. It's a dream that I had years ago, which was, the first dream was figuring out how to get myself to be able to be in a position where I could travel the world and help serve other people at a high level. And, it started off with me in the front den of a house, having this grand vision of traveling the world and speaking and coaching and training and helping other people. And it took me about 18 months to make that a reality for myself. It took me a handful more years to make that a reality for myself and then my spouse, who also loves to travel, Amanda. So we've been traveling the world. And this was a very unique trip we took last because it was me being able to expand it from myself to my spouse. We took my grandparents on their dream trip to Barcelona and Spain, and we took them on their very first trip to Europe, and we got to show them around. I think the sweetest part was within the first 35 minutes of landing, both of them said out loud, "I think we're definitely moving here." And I think it was out of pure excitement. But it was them landing in a place and seeing a beautiful new place that they've never been or experienced before. I think the other part that was pretty sweet was when they got home, my grandma called me a week later and said, "I'm finally not waking up at 4 a.m. Why didn't you tell me I was going to wake up at 4 a.m. when I got home every day?" And so we were laughing because it was their very first time. So they were picking up on the experience itself of what it was like. So our last trip was my wife and I went and checked out Berlin right before. Then we met my grandparents in Barcelona, took them there for a few days, took them to Rome for a couple more days. We dropped them off in Barcelona to fly home. And then we headed up to Paris for a date night before we headed home. Because
date night.
There's always Paris. So
because why not? Why not? Yeah. And that's some of the stuff that I really want to dive in with you on this interview, Jairek, is that why not? You just talked about traveling the planet, going to amazing places, having a date night in Paris. And I know that there's some people out there going, "Oh, that Jairek, it's just because of who he is." Those are different types of folks who get to do that. And I'd love to hear what you have to say about that to anybody who might be thinking that about themselves right now, where they're at, why can't they live that way, or how can they rather live a life like you're living?
It's a great question.
Did you get there? Thanks.
Great question. So if I were to rewind and just shoot the arrow straight and call a spade here, I grew up in the personal development industry. My dad is the number one motivational speaker on the planet. Depending on which group you talk to, he's number one across all of them. And he's dominated in the industry for a very long time now. And so for me to choose to go into the personal development space is a fascinating space to fiddle around in and to work in and to call this my career path because dad was here. And most people say, well, it must have been easy. And the truth is it wasn't. There was a lot of friction. And the God honest truth is his best advising to me when I started was go do something else. And I was like, okay, why? Like, I love this. I love helping people. I love focusing 110% of my time, effort, and energy on helping people have a bigger, better, happier, healthier, more fulfilled life. Like, why should I go do something else? So I talked to my brother, my stepbrother. He's like, bro, really, man, you might want to consider doing something else, you know? I was like, who's hating on the industry? Like, why is everyone telling me to go away? What the hell? And really, truly, this wasn't like a one-time thing. This was a consistent theme over the years. And eventually, you know, dad was like, hey, why don't you come and work with us then? And we'll train you, which they did. It was wonderful. And you can do, you know, some sales for us, which I went out and did. And honestly, I produced like average, if not mediocre results in sales for them. And my thought was, is it because A, I'm not good at sales, or B, there's just something not clicking here? And is it really not my DNA to be selling for dad my whole life? And there was something there, and I had to figure out how to find my own path. And I knew, you know, being there, as much as I loved the process, there was just a part of me that knew I wasn't meant to sell tickets for my dad my whole life. Like there was something more there. Now, I don't know if you're listening or watching, if you've ever had that feeling where you're doing something you're good at, you're decent, you're mediocre at, like you're getting good results, you're performing, you're doing it, good job, but there's something in your heart that tells you this just ain't it. It's not what you were made to do for the rest of eternity. It's a good thing for right now. You're learning lots from it. You're incredibly grateful to be a part of it or have it, but there's something inside of you that's saying like, there's something more that I should be doing. Now this comes in two stages. Either one, someone who just straight out of the gates kind of picked a path because it was available and they got into it because it was available. It was an opportunity. They took it. And now that they've gone a ways into it, they realized it wasn't all that they imagined, or they knew from the beginning that it wasn't going to be it, but they were willing to do it for now until they found what is it. Now, one thing happens that's really interesting is the fear of the unknown kicks in for these people, where they kind of get stuck in the, now that I've been doing this for so long, I don't want to have to start over if I choose the path that really calls to my heart, whether that's, you know, driving box cars or becoming a skydive instructor or river rafting the Nile every day. Like, I don't know what it is that calls to your heart, or becoming a singer or an actress or whatever. Like, whatever calls to your heart, there's this fear of, but if I go away from what I've been doing for the last 5 years or 10 years, I have to start over. And starting over kind of sucks because we forget what it's like at the beginning of everything we did. Right. Like most of us, we got our first job. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't pretty. And our living situation wasn't all that fancy either. So it's kind of scary to do that. The other time that this, you know, calling comes into fruition is someone who's actually been wildly successful. Wildly successful. And I have the privilege and opportunity to sit down with a lot of these men and women at this stage of their life where they have accomplished in their life way beyond their wildest dreams. Like they thought they knew what they were aiming for, they hit it, and then just went berserk past it. And it's like, wow. And they've really achieved some magic in their life. And they're at a stage of life where they feel like they want to start giving back and they don't know how. They would like to transition into becoming a mentor for younger people in their industry, for younger people in their business, for even family members. But when they go and offer advice as of right now, most people don't do jack with it, and it kind of pisses them off. Right. It's like, why don't they listen to what I'm saying? Trust me, I figured it out. Like, I'm telling them what to do, and they go, okay, and they leave and don't do anything, and it drives them insane.
Well, Jairek, do you think that it might be a bit to do with the fact that people think they're going to live forever? Like they don't really realize that they have an expiration date, that this is it. There's no dress rehearsal. Because what do you see with that? What would you say to that?
So yes, I think that's one of it. And I always say that there was three gifts I got growing up. And so, dad was the number one motivational speaker on the planet. My godfather co-founded NLP, which was another interesting situation where it's like, oh, wow, dad's in the business, godfather's in the business. And my mom was taking me to seminars ever since I was in her belly, teaching people how to break through their fears by breaking bricks with their bare hand.
Now, people don't really understand, I don't think, exactly how huge what you just said is. I mean, you're talking about being part of neuro-linguistic programming, so one of the most amazing technologies of our generation period that will be something that people will look back on forever and just say, my God, wasn't it an amazing time? And you were there. In fact, we're all there right now, but you have a godfather who helped co-create this. That was John Grinder, right?
Absolutely. And so it was a funky situation where when I was in high school, most of my friends would go on spring break or college spring break, and they'd go to like party, and they'd be down on the beach in Cabo, like in bikinis and all this jazz. I'd be freezing my ass off in Stockholm, literally attending a new code NLP practitioner training with my godfather, learning how to use these tools to heal and help people. And so I'm like a 17, 18-year-old kid, gathering up all these tools and information, and then coming back and finishing up my degree in psychology and using it everywhere I could to try to help when I could. And it was just a different starting point. So that was the starting point. Now, in going from that starting point, there were some struggles. And really, truly, the struggles were, number one, how the heck do you create your own footprint when you've got monsters of the industry before you with their footprint pretty much on the planet? Like, how the heck do you create your own footprint when, no pun intended, their feet are so freaking big? And that concept, where really, truly, like, I had to figure out, how the heck do I find my place in the market? Good news, bad news. Good news is there's like 7 billion people on Earth. The other good news is they've gotten to about, let's say, 200 to 400 million of them have been reached by this community. So I'm like, hey, the bad news is there's like 6.8, 6.6 billion people who have no clue who we are, what we do. But the good news is that's a lot of people we can go get to. They have no clue we even exist. Like, hey, we need to get to work, and we need more helpers to help us get to these people. Like, obviously, they're doing the best they can with the tools they have and how they're doing so far, and they're doing good. But I think we can get to more in our lifetime.
Absolutely.
And so that thought process, the gifts through going through those challenges of figuring out, how do I create my own footprint, or my imprint in the world. There was also some things that I faced as a young kid, and I don't know if any of you listening ever had this, but I was very impatient. I wanted all the results yesterday. And to be God honest, this is something my dad feared greatly in who I was as a young human being. I didn't have the work ethic. Now, I had some work ethic, but not the work ethic it takes to actually get the results I dreamed of. And that was his fear. He's like, dude, if you just want to be a surfer and like lay on the beach all day and just chill, you're good. Like, you've got that mastered. You're going to be really great at life. And he's like, but you're showing me pictures of like private jets and traveling the world, and, the houses you've shown me you're interested in moving into one day, and, that you want to build a hospital. He's like, these things aren't done with the work ethic you have. And I'm not being mean. I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to be honest that the activities you're doing are never going to add up to the results you want, because these activities, if you draw out the future line, do not lead here. They lead like here. And it just hurt his heart to have to say that, because he's Mr. Anything's possible. And so it was very difficult, but real, for someone to sit me down at a young age and say, hey, the trajectory of the habits and actions you're taking in your life right now are not going to magically go whoop. They're leading you in this path. Now, if you're okay with that path, stay there. That's okay. But realize, just be okay with where you're going to land up if you keep doing what you're doing. Or get real and realize that if you want this kind of growth in your health, your life, your finances, your relationships, spiritual life, whatever, there's a whole new set of habits you're going to have to ingrain in your life. And there's a whole new set of actions you're going to have to take every day to get that kind of growth. Now, what's interesting, though, is we had to sit down, and there were 3 gifts I'll share with you real quick, and we'll answer that question of, do people think they're going to live forever? Because it's true, they do, and I did as well. But there's 3 gifts that changed everything. Gift number 1, Dad did extremely well in his life. I mean, he was a 16-year-old kid kicked out of the house, living in the back of his car, to now he's got 19 companies, roughly. They do $6 billion a year in revenue. And to see that kind of transition is just remarkable to live in and to watch from the inside out and to watch what caused that kind of growth. And he's right. There was a different set of daily habits and actions that lead to that kind of result. And the biggest gift he gave me, lots of gifts throughout the years, but the biggest gift he gave me as a young man trying to create an imprint in this industry on my own was we had a talk when I was 18 years old. And the talk at 18 was, I helped you through school, which was a huge gift. Because I realized, when my mom applied to UCSD and she got into UCSD, she had to talk with her parents where they said, hey, we can't afford it. You're welcome to go, but figure it out. And she was heartbroken because she couldn't go study oceanography, and that was her dream. On the other hand, my wife, when she got into Michigan State University, and she went to her parents and said, hey, I got into Michigan State. They said, congratulations, but we can't afford it. And what she heard when they said, we can't afford it is you can't go. And that broke her heart because she knew, hey, even though we grew up with hard times, there's no way I'm going to stay here my whole life. I'm going to find a way to build the life I want. And so it broke her heart to hear you can't go. And so she realized that they weren't saying you can't go. They were saying you have to get resourceful. And so one of the greatest gifts, Dad knew that's a gift that everyone on this planet has to learn. And a lot of people right now in this moment haven't learned it because we have 42-year-old adults who still count on mom and dad to pay the cell phone bill every month right now at this moment in history. And not like once every now and then or, oh shit, I screwed up and we're in trouble. I'm talking like every month. They're like, hey, mom, dad, that bill's coming up. Can I get that transfer?
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about that resourcefulness. And at the end of, I want to hear the other two aspects the gifts that you were given. But part of training to be resourceful from you was dropping my butt and some of my good friends off at the Hoover Dam. Remember that?
That's right.
Without a cell phone, without any money. And
nope, we took all your stuff.
That's right. I said, hey, get back to the hotel. The hotel was like an hour away. And we became resourceful. That's right.
And I learned how to be resourceful that day as well because the police showed up and I realized I didn't have a permit to be doing gaming on public or federal property. And I almost got arrested for doing that little thing. So I had to get real resourceful to talk that officer down from arresting me, which God bless him if he's watching right now. Thank you for not arresting me on that day. Awesome. And we had to negotiate some buses to come pick the last 20 people up because and this is the God honest truth. With resourcefulness, when people are able to get resourceful, we had 100 and something people with us that day on the wall. Over 80 of them within 15 minutes were already in a car on their way back to the hotel. They had no money. They couldn't promise to give them anything. It was purely negotiating with another human being to do a good deed and somehow get them and their team back to the hotel. The people who were resourceful within 15 minutes were off the wall and going. The people who could not tap into the same level as resourcefulness, they got the penalty. And the penalty was they had to sit on the wall for like 2 hours until we could arrange another bus to come and pick them up.
Awesome.
And it's just, that's how life works. If you're not resourceful, you got to settle with whatever life gives you.
Yeah.
Versus if you're resourceful, you can go get what you want out of life.
That I think is one of the most critical aspects that I've learned working with you and started to practice, because it starts to be something, a vision you can see that I don't need the resources, I can become resourceful. And how does that formulate in our minds, and how are we able to make that come to fruition? And now it's just like an absolute tool. It's like, well, this is what I need. Like literally yesterday, I'm thinking that everything's covered. And I get a phone call. It's like, hey, you know what? We need $9,000 in a week, an extra $9,000. Yep. It's like, well, that wasn't budgeted for. The cool thing is, in the past, that would have just crushed me. I would have floored me. Oh, it's over. Now it's just like almost exciting. Well, we get to use this manifestation process. We get to get in alignment with the universe, and we get to create this, move our feet. And that's the key. So next.
And so that's gift number one. Gift number one was learning how to cultivate resourcefulness. And the way Dad helped me learn it was he sat me down. He said, there's one rule when it comes to money. And I said, what's that? And he says, past this point, you're 18, you're about to graduate. And the moment you graduate, there's one rule. The one rule is don't ask, figure it out. And I remember being like, well, what about if it's like, and I was coming up with all the excuses or reasons of why possibly I might need to ask sometime in the future just to clarify the rules just in case. And he's like, no, zero reason. He's like, I will love you. Even if you're homeless, I'll still love you. But figure it out. Don't call me. Don't ask. Don't resort to silly stuff. Like, figure it out. And he says, if you can train your mind and your body that when things get tough, you figure it out financially, you'll be able to make anything happen you want in your entire life in this area called finances. And it's more to do with the muscle than it is anything else. Like you said, it's the ability to go, oh, shoot, I need to get to X. I have so much time to get there. Now, what resources do I have within me that can help me get there? And I remember, I used to come home when I was living with 3 roommates in a house in Hillcrest, San Diego. And one category of resourcefulness is, the hawk, sell, and pawn everything you have level of resourcefulness.
Low level resourceful, but yet resourceful.
Still resourceful. I remember coming home one day and having pretty much everything that was not considered owned by a single person in the house out on the front lawn for sale. And I remember walking up being like, why is the coat rack out front? Like, that doesn't belong to any of us. That was in the house when we rented it. Like, who's selling the coat rack? And one of my roommates came out and she's like, well, I need to make some money. I got a bill to pay, so I'm just going to sell everything. I'm like, you can't sell community property. and it made me think, though, because that's one level of resourcefulness where you kind of just like hawk, sell, and give away everything you have, trying to squeeze every penny back to what you get. And that resourcefulness can only take you so far. There's a second level of resourcefulness. And the second level of resourcefulness is digging inside of you and saying, what gift do I have inside of me? What trade do I have inside of me that I can take to the world around me? And I can use this trade, this gift, to give value to other people, and so much value that in return for the value I add, they will compensate me handsomely, either with a place to stay, food, shelter, whatever I need, money. They will compensate me really, really handsomely for the value I add in their world. Angelita, what's up from Seattle? And so that concept. So I remember another time I had the exact moment you had, just sounds like yesterday, where someone said, hey, I need to make $5,000 by Monday. And it was Friday, mid-afternoon. And I was like, okay, fascinating. So I sat down, I took out a pen and paper. And if you're in a financial, bind, you might want to do this right now. Took out a pen and paper. And I said, okay, what's every gift I have inside of me? What's every book I've read, every piece of knowledge I have, every experience I've had that could be massively valuable to another human being? And I wrote down a big list. I said, okay, some of this I think is valuable, but other people honestly won't think is valuable. So I'm going to cross those ones off. As much as I love that thought, that ain't going to do. So I'm going to cross those off. And then I had a list of like 10 things that I think really, truly would be massively valuable to other people's lives. And I said, okay, I'm going to pick one to start with. And I'm going to go online and I'm going to say, hey, here's what I have to offer. Here's the value I would like to add to your life. If there's someone out here looking for this, I'd love to have a conversation to see if it's the right fit. Lo and behold, I put the offer out there. Someone took me up on the offer. And I said, okay, let's go meet. Let's jump on the phone real quick. I'll tell you what it is and all the details. I told him. He said, great. I'd love to know that. We said, wonderful. And so we said, okay, why don't we meet this afternoon and we'll walk you through the process. I'd met him up. We went through the whole thing. He handed me a check on the spot for $5,000, exactly what I needed. And he said, please don't cash it till Monday. And I was like, how interesting, because that's exactly when I needed it to be cashed by in order to cover the things that I needed covered. And you can call that manifestation. You can call that the universe unfolding, or you can call that digging in with pure resourcefulness and saying, hey, what resources do I have to offer to the community around me? And how can I offer them in such a way that someone else will be able to barter with me and trade value for value in this case? And I can offer enough value to their life that they would happily and effortlessly pay the value that I'm looking for in return.
So what you just described is like the explainer. It kind of demystifies the law of attraction. You know what the process looks like and you take action on the process. Is it pretty much that simple, right? Exactly.
Is it that easy all the time? Not necessarily. It can be, though. And in that case, it literally was. And the other thing that was underneath this was it'll have to do more with gift number 3, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes. But there was a sense of deep urgency around it. It wasn't like it'd be nice to do this today, or let's see if it works out. Like, there was urgency. This must happen now. I must do it. I'm going to do it. And with that kind of natural, real, true passion and urgency behind it, it helps. Otherwise, if you just wake up every day and say, today, I manifest and hope that this happens, there's no urgency there. It's a good start, but you need urgency. You need realness behind it. Now, here's the other part. I was also not in a place of absolute scarcity, because there's a difference. If you're in a place of scarcity, people can feel that. It feels weird when people try to sell you something or offer you something in scarcity, because it's like, hey, I can give you this, but do you think you can have the transaction done by next Thursday at 2 p.m., please? And you're like, whoa. Yeah. You're telling me this thing's like the most valuable thing on earth, and then you're getting all like weird in the transaction. There has to be a place of abundance. Now, the God honest truth is, if I wasn't able to come up with it by that Monday, I still would have been fine. But that more has to do with not because there's a huge bank account somewhere, a trust fund or some shit set up. It has more to do with up here. I know I would have figured it out, and I know I would have gotten resourceful and made it work in my favor eventually. It's up here where the abundance is, not necessarily the bank account.
That right there, right. What you said, that's right here. It's between the ears, and the training that goes into it is so vital. And that's the beautiful thing that I'm really excited having you here to finally get to share you with the community of people I've got around me, because you've been so tapped in your entire life with your father. And your father, obviously, you've both been associating with some of the highest level business people on the planet. And
but I'll throw it out there, more than dad. Yeah. My dad, my mom was, my grandma is. And there's a whole tribe of people that help support me and build me into the man I am today. And the truth is, it wasn't just one or just any one of them altogether. It's all of them. And they've all supported in different ways. And I'm incredibly grateful for them. Like it says, it takes a village to raise a child. I had a massive village of millions of people around me, always supporting in different ways, shapes, and forms. Really, truly.
It's a beautiful thing. And the fact that, one of the things that when it comes down to time is there's so many coaches, there's so many strategies, and there's so many systems out there, all of which can kind of work. But what I've been really becoming more clear about as I continue down my own personal path is that there are some ways of doing life. There are ways of being in relationship. And when you can surround yourself with people who've got that information, and they can share that with you instead of you having to learn all these things on your own, it's massively beneficial, because we don't have enough time to make all the mistakes on our own. Life's just not long enough. And what would you speak to that, Jairek, if you would?
Well, that's gift number 3. So we'll come back to gift number 2, I guess. Gift number 3, I'll never forget, just this concept of 6 days left. And if you think about it, 6 days left, 6 days left could be you just received a gigantic bill, and you look at the bank account and you look at the bill, and there's way more bill than there is bank account. And you look down, you're like, there's 6 days left till this baby's due. How the heck am I going to make this work? 6 days left. That could be till the final exam. You're a student. It's coming up on finals. You got 6 days left to go, and you realize, oh crap, I haven't started studying yet. And you're like, wow, 6 days left. Whew, shit, I got to get to work. Like I got to get some traction here. I got to get moving. For me, the 6 days left, it was when I was visiting the third doctor for that week when I was over in a village in Uganda. And the third doctor that week sat me down and said, hey, based on the 55,000 parasites per one red blood cell you have in your body right now, at the rate they're doubling, at the rate malaria is growing and infiltrating your body and blood cells right now and killing them off, you have about 6 days left. And I remember being like, wow.
Oh my God, yeah.
Someone tells you that, like bills don't fucking matter anymore. Excuse language, but they don't. Bills don't matter. Tests don't matter. Exams don't matter. What matters in that moment is getting your priorities straight and realizing like, wow, I'm in Uganda in a rural farming village, no running water, no electricity, no toilets. My family is on the other side of Earth. There's no way I would ever be able to hug my mom or dad one last time before I would die at that moment if I were to die in 6 days, because I'd get quarantined if I try to fly home. There's just no way. None of my friends are there with me. I'm by myself in a hospital where 90% of the people don't speak English. Luckily, I had a few people there from the support team who were just stopping by, once every other day to make sure I was okay. No vertigo, diarrhea, vomiting. I lost 20 pounds in 1 week because I couldn't physically get any food to stay in my body. It would come out one way or the other quicker than I've ever dreamed or wanted it to be possible to. It was bad. And I remember lying there and thinking of all the stuff I wanted to achieve, the stuff I told you about, like the house I want to live in, the car I wanted to drive, the trips I wanted to take, all this other jazz, and realizing like none of that shit really matters when you got 6 days left. And all of a sudden your priorities get straight. It's like, wow, I'm 20 years old. I never got to meet the love of my life. And I maybe only have 6 days left. I'm 20 years old. I never got to start my own business at that moment. That was a dream. It was on my live it list of things I always wanted to try to live in my life. 6 days left. I never got to travel the world really and go all the places I wanted to go. I got to go some places at that point. Not a lot, but there were more on my list. Things I always wanted to do or experience. I never got to build that school I wanted to build. I got to teach English in a week in Thailand, but I never got to build one. And in that moment, a friend of mine wrote a book when he was faced with death. He had a really bad car accident when he was pouting over a girl. And he realized in that moment when that flash hits and it's like, oh shoot, this might be it, that there's really three questions. And one is, did I really live? Did I grab life by the horns? And did I live fully to every extent possible? When life gave me a chance to do something I wanted to do, did I come up with the excuse of I can't do it? Or did I get resourceful, that thing we learned in Gift 1, and said, hey, how can I do it? And I was like, wow. Luckily at that moment, I felt like I had really lived. I mean, shit, I was living in a rural farming village in the middle of Uganda just after studying on semester at sea, where I did 10 countries in 100 days studying psychology on board while traveling the world. Like, I was living. So I give myself a check for that one.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Second question. Did you really love? When life gave you the opportunity to love another human being, did you open your heart and soul and pour every single ounce of who you are into them? Or did you hold back? Did you wait? Did you hesitate? Were you nervous? Were you scared? Were you fearful that they might hurt your heart, so you held something a little in reserve just in case? Did you really love? Did you give someone every ounce of your mind, body, and soul when they gave you a moment of life to do so? That one, I was kind of like 50-50 on, to be honest. 20 years old, I loved deeply. I cried and rejoiced in beautiful moments of love with people I really cared about. But I also held back, to be honest. There were moments in my life that flashed before my eyes where I'm like, oh, because of ego, because of fear, because of anger, because of something. Instead of loving that person and giving to that person, I was trying to take, and I was pissed that I wasn't getting what I wanted, so I held something back. I was like, oh, that's not a good feeling, especially 6 days left. Not only that, the final question, did you matter? If you were to die today, big question, what would your legacy be? Who would remember you? And why the heck would they remember you? Now, all of us have a legacy. We'll all be remembered for something. But the question is, up until this moment in life, what will you be remembered for? And I remember lying there at 20 years old, and I was like, well, a handful of the villagers here that I was helping put their business back together, figure out how to become more efficient at tilling their land and stuff we were teaching. Hopefully they'll remember me. I don't know, maybe. People back at home, I think my mom will remember me. My dad probably would. My family would. But that thought of who would remember you really, truly. And most of the time, we're remembered for the difference we make in other people's lives. And as at that moment in my life, this was kind of a real scary thought. And I know it is for a lot of people. Because I was faced with a moment where it's like, wow, I don't know how I'd be remembered or if I'd be remembered. And there's something that's really interesting. It's the thought that if you think back of the most amazing people you've ever met in your life, it's usually someone who shared something with you in a way that kind of changed the destination or the destiny of where you were headed. Those people tend to have lasting memories in the lives of other people, because you offered something of value to their life and it hit at just the right moment. Doesn't always, but it hit at just the right moment, that everything in their life, when they look back and they say, how did I land up where I am today in a better place than I was before? It's because that person on that day shared that thing, and that was it. And so in that moment, two things hit me. One, I needed a better plan of what I was going to do in this lifetime to really matter, and know that if I were to die on any day, any given day, if I were to just get hit by a bus, which I hate saying that now because I used to always use the example. And literally 2 weeks ago, one of my friends was standing on a street corner in Toronto, stepped out on the street and got hit by a freaking bus and ran over. Luckily, she's alive, knock on wood, and she survived, but she got messed up pretty bad. So people think that's just a silly example, but really, truly, like, you don't know if you're going to be my friend Teresa, who's standing on a freaking corner and smack, a bus takes her out randomly. And you don't know when that day is going to come. So big question. If you're listening into this, we were talking about urgency earlier. You know, if you didn't realize and you didn't know, and life knew that you had 6 days left or less, how would you live in each and every one of these next 6 days so that you know you fully lived? Life gave you an opportunity to do something you wanted to do. There were no excuses. There was no hesitation. You lived fully. You took life by the horns and you make it how you wanted it to be. You were asking me, how did I get my grandparents on their dream trip over to Europe? We made it that way. That's not a mistake. That's not us getting lucky. That's not someone who gave us a bunch of money to make it happen. That's my wife and I sitting down and saying, hey, we want to share this with the people we love. How do we make that happen? How can we do it? Instead of we can't, it's how can we? And we made it happen. Was it easy? Not necessarily. Did it cost more than we thought? About double. Would we do it again? In a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah, baby.
Because we know the difference it'll make in their life. So did we really live? Second, did we really love? I don't know about you, but my wife and I run a business together, and there's moments where we come downstairs and we're so full of everything going on in the business and which client's doing what and who's signed up for what and is everything on pace for that our clients get the emails, blah, 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 blah. And we got to be able to go, whoa. We need to turn this down. We need to get laser focused. We need to clear out every thought that exists in our world right now. We need to get into a strong, calm, centered state, and we need to pour love into each other. One of my favorite days of the week we have now is Sunday mornings, because we block off about 4 or 5 hours and we do nothing but just listen to each other, talk about everything that's on our minds. And it's one of my favorite moments, is to just hear everything that's going on in my wife's mind, what she's thinking of, what she's feeling, everything that's going on. And that thought of really loving her and loving every word she shares and every thought she has and every experience she's been through. I want to love on that every week. And ideally every day. Reality kicks in. It's a minimum of a week. Ideally, we try to do it every day and just figure out where we can fit it in. The final piece, did it really matter? And one of the coolest things in the world, what's up, Dennis from Woodland? One of the coolest things in the world has been the ability to become a coach in my life, because it's given me the opportunity and the privilege to write books on our philosophy and our thoughts of how we go about doing what we do, to travel the world and share with other people our thoughts and opinions, to jump on, Facebook Live like this and share what's working with all the clients. I don't share this because I had a prolific vision one day and these are my thoughts. Like I share the things I'm sharing with you because these are things not only that help me in my life, but they've helped hundreds of our clients we get to work with every day in a coaching capacity. And we've helped them with these strategies in their life get real results, like go from working at a bank to going out and raising $250 million to start his own commodities trading business. It's like, that's a big result. And we were able to help guide him every step of the way to get that kind of result. And we were able to coach him and hold him accountable. Having someone who's dreaming of meeting the love of their life, holding them accountable to certain daily rituals every day that add up to a year later meeting the person. I think it was 18 or 20 months later, they had their first baby on the way and they were getting married. And it's like, wow, like getting to be part of those people's worlds. The most impactful though is the letters we get. There's a book back there. I don't know if you can see it behind me. There's a book I wrote called Live It, Achieve Success by Living with Purpose. And
yeah, Deepak Chopra wrote the intro, or he endorsed you.
Deepak Chopra wrote an endorsement for it. Brian Tracy wrote an endorsement for it. Nice. Keith Ferrazzi wrote an endorsement for it. Oh. Stuart Allison, who's a Chief Master Sergeant in the U.S. Air Force, wrote an endorsement for it. Adam Braun, who started Pencils of Promise, they built over 300 schools all around the world, wrote an endorsement for it. He wrote the foreword for it. Cool, so it's good work, at least according to my peers. And the thought in that is being able to coach other people and assist them in becoming the happiest, healthiest, most fulfilled version of themselves, and being able to get notes in the mail. I never forget, I got an email from a young woman who was an overseas military member. And she had come back. She struggled with PTSD a little bit. And she said she had multiple days and nights in a row just happening again and again and again, where she had her firearm in her mouth ready to pull the trigger because she couldn't get past what she was going through in her mind. She wasn't sleeping well. She wasn't performing well. She just felt off, and she didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to make it stop. And she had lost her vision of who she wanted to become in life. And one of the greatest gifts in the world from a coaching space is knowing that our materials went out into the world and somehow found their way to this young woman. She read them. She participated in some of our coaching programs online. And she wrote me one of the most beautiful notes I've ever received, which was she told the story of what was going on. She told that she multiple times had a firearm in her mouth considering taking her own life. And she says, because of that whole design your ideal day concept, because of your book and because of your online coaching program that I took with you, I just want to say I remembered why I'm here on this planet, and I remembered the reason of why I want to live. And she said, I just want to say thank you for that. It means a lot to me, obviously. And I don't think there's anything cooler when it comes to did you really matter, to knowing that someone's life was saved or somehow benefited deeply because we happen to be here and because what we call work all day goes out and saves someone's life in that way. I don't know a deeper way to matter. And so, I get asked all the time by my peers and friends who are all measuring numbers and reach and all this jazz. And they say, do you consider yourself to be successful? I say, dude, any day that a piece of our coaching philosophy can go out into the world and save someone's life, we're beyond successful. The money, the travel, all the cool shit that comes with it, that's awesome too. Don't get me wrong. But the real success is reaching a person who needs us most at the exact moment they need us with the exact message they need that makes all the magic happen up here, in here, up there, whatever it is for them that brings them around and says, hey, you can keep going. You can be okay. And I think that's where all the magic happens in that third question of did you really matter?
That is, sometimes I'll tune out there. So some of what you're sharing really, it resonates, and knowing that this is really happening for folks, people, the type of work that you get to do, the type of work that I get to do is a game changer for people on such an intimate and on a soul level. And you talked about success. Hey, are you really successful? So many people look at it. It's like, where's the Jaguar? Where's the Bentley? Where's the big house? Where's all the stuff? And I'd really love to hear your idea of success, because what I found is that in times that I had very little stuff, the experience that I was having with the people I got to participate or play with and work with was so enriching, was so it just filled my spirit, my soul with joy to work with these folks when they say, oh my God, you changed my life. Thank you so much for helping me on this meditation in the morning. Like you and I were talking about some of the stuff that you're working with your clients through meditation and the big game changers and ahas that happen. Yep. To me, that's very successful. When you can give somebody a path and they can have continued growth and success in a way in their life that they choose. Yep. The key there is to choose. And so with that's a kind of a big question, but your idea of success, and then do you believe that most people out there are choosing? Or do you think they're just believing that they're choosing, but actually running a program that they can actually change if they're aware of it?
Sure. So success, I think that changes person to person. And at one stage of my life, it was all about stuff. And then And when I mean stuff, I mean like I can show you an old vision board. It's like jets, cars, houses, planes, pools, islands, like all the stuff. And I have it. It's right down there. I still have it from when I was like 14 years old. I made that thing. That's what Dad was worried about, because he'd see that thing and go, "Pal, what you're doing will not add up to that. Trust me, I know what it takes, and that your actions don't lead to that."
I mean it.
And so that's why he was worried, because he saw the vision, he saw the actions, and they're like, that don't add up. It doesn't. No matter what world you're on or what universe you're in, it doesn't add up. Like it takes a different set of habits to get there, or you got to change where you're headed in the vision. So at one point, it was all about stuff. After being told I had 6 days left and having to contemplate life and possibly the end at 20 years old, it rearranged. My whole value hierarchy became family, loving, finding the love of my life, getting married, making a difference in other people's lives. Like the values reordered so that the most important things were really, truly living, loving, making a difference in the world, helping other people, serving at the highest level. And then to some extent, I remember hitting a moment where I was so deeply entrenched of helping and service and making a difference that there was part of me that would push away from anyone who had a lot of stuff. Because I'm like, they're not in it for the right reasons. If they drive that, they're in it for the wrong reasons. If they fly like that, they're in it for the wrong reasons. And eventually that side of myself calmed down. And I said, hey, wait a minute. If you turn part of success as having a bunch of money, the more money you have does not make you into a different person. It gives mean people to be able to be meaner. It gives giving people the ability to give more. Gives helpers to be able to help more. And I was like, wait a minute. Let me look inside my heart and figure out who the heck I am. Am I a mean person? Am I a selfish person? Am I a giving person? Am I a kind person? And I said, wait a minute. Let me ask myself, who have I always been? The truth. And I went all the way back to ever since I think I was 5, 6 years old. I remember working real hard to earn $5, clean the house to get $5 to go to the toy store. On the way into Toys R Us, I remember having my $5, walking towards the door, getting to the door, looking up, and to my right, seeing a homeless person sitting there. And I'll never forget, he was looking at a fishing lure. I don't know why, but that's what he was doing. And I remember looking at him, looking at the toy store, looking at my $5, looking at the toy store, looking at him. And I was like, huh. And my mom looked at me and she goes, what are you doing? And I said, I think he needs it more than me. And she looked at me and she goes, you're not going to get another $5 if you give it to him, right? And you're not going to get a toy. And I remember thinking about it. And she goes, you think about it long and hard. And he said, that's okay. He needs it. And he walked over and handed it to him. And I remember going, oh, if I look at the nature of who I've always been a giver. Now, wait a minute. Why the heck am I preventing myself from going out and making ridiculous amounts of money that I can give more to more people that I care about with? I'm like, that's a silly limitation, because givers give, helpers help, good people help. So the bigger problem isn't necessarily having it or not. It's saying, hey, what do I plan to do with it? And if I plan to do good with it, why the hell shouldn't I make more than any other person I could possibly imagine making? That way, I can go do more with it than any other person is doing.
Okay, so why do you, Jairek, beautiful story, by the way. The question I've got for you is, why do you think it is that so many people don't?
Because they've allowed their mind to get confused and interwoven with people who have this or this way. That's not true. I at one point, I remember hearing the thoughts of like greedy rich people, one of those. And you see protests on TV, the 99% won't stand for the greedy 1% anymore. And if you qualify, what is the 1%? It's people who make over $400,000 a year. So if you're gonna qualify that as the 1%, then you're going to say Mother Teresa is one of those people as well, because she had $1 million, I believe, a month going through her organization, helping people all over the world. So, oh man,
puts in context right there.
Those greedy people, $1 million a month going through her organization, helping people all over the world. Now, people always say, yeah, but she was a nonprofit. Dude, to run a nonprofit, it takes the same mechanics as it does a profit. And Bill and Melinda Gates, they're certainly to 1%. Yeah, they're super selfish in all the billions of dollars they give away. Zuckerberg, he handed out a couple billion lately.
Oh.
So it really doesn't come down to who the person is, because I know some selfish SOBs who make less than 30 grand a year, and they don't give a penny to anybody, and they'll try to steal yours if you leave it on the table.
Yeah. Well, I just heard from
really big givers. So it really comes down to, what's the juice inside that orange? Who are you? If I squeeze you, what comes out? If you're a giver, the more I give you, the more you're going to give to others, period.
But if you're a taker, set, right?
It is. Yeah, I mean, so it's a different belief system. Okay. But then, like we've been hinting at, it's a different set of habits.
Different set of habits. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't. Actually, a lot of people do know, because I share it often. I've shared it within different interviews I've done about how I got into the online world. I began interviewing people like yourself. And I tell them, it's like, well, back in 2011, after I've read hundreds and hundreds of books at that point, but in 2011, it was a really interesting time in my life. I was married, 3 kids, and I was going in and out of construction because I wasn't quite over the hump when it came to really knowing what it was that I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be entrepreneurial, and I knew I wanted to work for myself. And it was just interesting because the challenges of being a father, challenges of being a husband, and wanting to be an entrepreneur, like you talked about earlier. It's like, man, making that leap in that space was a really scary place. But at that moment is when I met you. I went to my first event, and we worked over the weekend. I was exhausted. I literally thought I was going to have like a nervous breakdown after that weekend. It's like, that was so much. We need to sleep.
Glad I could help.
Thank you. I went home. I was a wreck. But I came back, kind of a glutton for punishment. I came back. I went back and counted. I think it was 14 events with you in 2 years. So from 2011 to 2013, 14 different events where we just continue to break through. And I can see it so clearly now when I look back, just connect the dots, that from event to event, I can see differently. I could see that I was getting new vision, and that I was establishing those new habits. And it was from those experiences with you that I was able to meet Russell Brunson, and then to learn this internet marketing piece. I was able to work with amazing folks that by design, I chose it. I sought people out that I wanted to be in relationship with, and put the tools together that allowed me to do what I do now. But if it was just one of those, just trading glasses instantly, it would just be like a shock almost, like, oh my God. And I believe that's the way it is for people, is that every day that they're working, if they're working the right habits, eventually it'll become a way of being. Yep. And then you won't even remember what it was once like. Yep. Does that make sense?
It is. There's a research study at Duke University that says, I think 40 to 60% of everything we do every day, every action we take, every thought we think, every place we go, every person we interact with, 40 to 60% of everything we do is literally a non-conscious habit. What does that mean? You're not thinking. Your body's literally in autopilot. Now, if you've noticed, as people get older, they say, as you get older, time flies. Days just seem to go by so much quicker than before. All that means is, if you look at the research study of a brain scan, which I'm a nerd about this stuff. One of my good friends runs the neuroscience lab at Stanford, so I'm always texting and tweeting in going like, hey, what's new? Tell me the new stuff. So if you look at brain scans, if you look at someone doing something for the very first time, their brain activity is like, wah, 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 wah. If you look at someone doing something for like the 10th or 20th time, their brain activity is like, meh, meaning their brain activity isn't even firing. Their brain is on autopilot. Their body is going through physical muscle memory, not even logically thinking. Now, this is scary when you think about some people drive like this. Some people work like this. Some people work out like this. Some people love like this in relationships. I mean, I'd hate to make love with someone who goes into autopilot. Like, I mean, just think about it. But really, truly, I bet there's at least one couple watching this who will be like, oh, shoot. Really, truly, like, don't let yourself go into autopilot. Shift it up. Try something new. Otherwise, your brain goes into autopilot and you stop being present and experiencing what happened. Instead, you get caught up just going through the same muscle memory of the same routine you do before. My favorite example, and it's silly, it's really dumb example, but it's hilarious, is, have you seen the movie Road Trip? it was a remake of the family vacation movies with Chevy Chase.
It's been a while.
There's a new one.
Right?
It's a new one called Road Trip.
Okay, no.
And a few years old. And so there's a scene where she's like, our love life has just kind of fallen apart because we just don't try anything new anymore. And she goes, you always just want to go light that same candle. And there's a scene where she's in the bathroom saying this stuff, and he's literally holding the candle, like trying to light it in the bedroom. And he goes, oh, crap. And he throws the candle over his shoulder. And he goes, and you always try to wear the same outfit. And he looks down and goes, oh, crap. I'm like throwing clothes everywhere. And you always want to do it in the same place. And he's like, okay. And he runs to the bathroom to try something new. And it's funny because it's literally this woman saying our sex life is boring because you just keep doing the same stuff. And I hate to use that example. I'm not trying to be crude or rude to anybody.
Example.
But it catches people's attention. Are you being boring to your clients in business because you just keep offering the same stuff up again and again and again in the same way without ever changing the approach or the stories or the ways or the examples? Are you being boring in your workout? You just keep doing the same stuff every day, wondered why you're not fired up about it. Are you a boring parent? I hate to say that. I'm not a parent yet, but some parents are boring. They just do the same stuff again and again and again and again, hoping their kids are magically going to be entertained and engaged the whole time. Like, change it up. Try something new. Is your image who you've been for the last 20 years of your life? Is that boring? Have you been the same man or woman for 20 years as far as how you dress, how you look, how you show up, what you do? I know you've changed recently. I like the beard. But that concept, baby. Are you willing to try something new and go a place you've never been before and bring a part of yourself to life that you've never activated? Or, this is a real one for a lot of guys. If you meet a young guy, the guy that she fell in love with, he was the guy that rode a motorcycle, the guy that had an edge, the guy that was just out there living life. And over the years, he's become a very, very responsible man. He sold the motorcycle because it's not safe when you have your first baby, and I don't want to take that risk on my family. He stopped taking risks, stopped going on those hikes or those trips out in the wilderness because, I just need to be here more. And slowly, he dulled his edge. And now he's a very stable father, but their relationship suffered greatly because he doesn't have the same edge that he had when they met. Now, I'm not saying to go be a reckless lunatic, but I'm saying, what could you do each day to bring back your edge as a human being? Little stuff, mental edge, emotional edge, physical edge, just pushing yourself in a way you haven't pushed yourself in a while that brings you back to life. And I hope this is hitting for the people who are watching.
Brother, it is hitting, and when you share that, like when you say, and I've definitely, I look in the mirror, man. A lot of people are like, dude, what's up with the beard? And some like it, some don't. And the thing that I found was that for right now, it's what I want to do. I read Iron John for the third time a couple of years ago, and really been reading a lot of Joseph Campbell and studying on his work, The Hero's Journey, and just getting clear that I get to live this life one time, and I put my life on hold. Or rather, I don't want to say I put it on hold. I lived an invention of myself, or multiple inventions of myself, for many, many years. Didn't know how to do a lot of things well, like be a father, how to be a husband. Those are things that were just kind of new to me. And so, but I also put on what other people wanted to see of me. In certain scenarios, a lot of people like my friend Alex used to work for a tire company, a big tire company. He could never grow a beard, but so he got out of the tire company, he grew a beard first thing. For me personally, like literally you just described my youth. I rode a Harley in high school. My dad bribed me to get, God, dude, if you graduate, I'll get you a Harley. I'm like, really? So I copied other people's papers and
resourcefulness.
Resourcefulness. And I got myself a Harley, man. I had long hair. And I was going to write the next American novel, at 18 with all my experience. And I'm not going back to anything that I once was. I am now living who I truly choose to be and have these experiences for myself. And there are some people who are saying, dude, your image online, you got to shave the beard off. It's like, well, if they don't like it, they don't have to watch. That's not about me. And to get to live fully the life that I'm finding within meditations, that I'm finding every step of the way on a daily basis, truly is the most joyful stuff I've ever experienced, man. Because I don't have a lot of fear anymore. I mean, I experienced the normal stuff, but I know how to get rid of that. That's just an illusion, man. And so my expectations and unmet expectations caused me more harm and more pain than anything I've ever experienced in my life. And so if I live by design and am more curious than I am expectant, I mean, I know certain outcomes are going to happen, but I'm curious about it. How's it going to show up? What's it going to look like? You know, and that's been the gift.
That's awesome.
All right.
Speaking of gifts, we talked about gift number 1. We talked about gift number 3. Number 2. There's one in between. And gift number 2 that happened along the journey that brings me to where we are today was being willing to not know how to do it, but taking action anyways.
Yes.
And this was literally a big gift. I remember it was the dumbest, smartest action I ever took in my life. I remember I decided I wanted to start my own coaching practice. Now, granted, I didn't start it from scratch one day and just, magically put on a new hat and be like, I'm a coach. I'm now a coach. Like I had been working for the number 1 personal development company on the planet when it comes to coaching. I had 6 years experience with them. I had been trained over 250 hours of internal training with them, plus a monthly continuing education training for them every single month for 6 years. So I had lots of training. I had coached over 1,000 clients with them. So I was very well educated, prepared, certified, everything like that. And then I decided to make the dumbest, smartest move of my life, which was starting my own coaching practice. And I'll never forget it. It was I don't know why Friday afternoon seemed to be the magic spot for my life, but it was a Friday afternoon. I decided I was going to start my own coaching practice. I threw up a website. If you Google, go to there's a website called The Wayback Machine. And if you go there and type in JarekRobbins.com and scroll all the way back to the beginning, you'll see this dark, ugly website with Jairek Robbins written across it with a black tree. I don't know why I choose the black website with an ugly tree. And it says, coaching, sign up. That's it. That was my whole fancy website. So people are like, oh, you need an amazing, fancy website to build a business. And no, you don't. Mine was ugly and didn't really function that well. But I made it myself, popped it up there, and that was my website. You'll laugh when you find it. From there, I remember driving downtown San Diego and filing my license for a sole proprietorship. Now, that was one of the dumbest things I did when it comes to starting a business. There's only one thing you could do that's a little dumber than that, which is just open a PayPal account and call yourself a coach. The reason being, I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just saying there's a reason, because what happened was I got lucky and I found a mentor so many months into coaching, and they opened up my business and looked at it and said, wow, you are a sitting duck. And I said, what the heck does that mean? And they said, are you an LLC, an S Corp, or a sole proprietorship? I said, sole proprietorship. They said, did you realize that every penny of your current and future earnings are up for grabs if you piss someone off and they sue you right now? I said, what do you mean? They said, imagine you give someone advice on your website. Like you blog about something on your coach website. You blog about it. Then you tell someone something. They go do it and they lose $1 million in the process. You realize they can sue you. And I'm like, well, I don't have $1 million at that time. What do I give them? And they said, oh, don't worry. That's not how the government works. They take it out of they garnish it from your future earnings.
Wow.
So what the heck does that mean? That means out of every paycheck you ever make in the future, they take a portion and give it back towards that $1 million tab you added up at that point of your life. I was like, oh shit. No, I didn't know that. Again, dumbest move. And he says, do I need to keep going, or are you going to let me show you how to set this up properly so that you don't lose all your assets? And I didn't have a whole lot. I had like a car and a watch my dad had given me. And he's like, yep, all that, your computer and everything else you have, it could all go up that fast if you do this wrong. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, wow. And it was like, oh, snap. That was interesting. So I was like, what else? And so luckily, this gentleman took me under his wing. He was a previous lawyer. And he said, let me teach you how to set up the business side of your business so that you don't royally screw yourself long term. And luckily, he mentored me. So the dumbest, smartest move, the smartest part of it, I took action even when I didn't know what to do. I went for it. I drove downtown. I filed that paperwork. I submitted the paperwork. I got approved and I was like, I'm in business. I figured out how to apply for a merchant processing account. I figured out how to set up all this stuff by myself, lots of Googling and figuring it out. And eventually got to a place where I had a coaching practice. And within that coaching practice, within 6 or 8 months, I had built $100,000 in revenue in my first 8 months of coaching on my own. Now, granted, I also had 6 years of previous coaching experience. I wasn't new to the coaching. I was new to the coaching business. And so I was coming into this space, figured out how to build a 6-figure business in 8 months. I was like, well, that's cool. I was 24 years old. So 4 years after that whole 6 days thing, I had my own 6-figure business. Most of my friends were teasing me who lived with me because they'd poke their head in my little front curtain I had in my room and go, what are you doing in here? I'm like, building a business. They're like, yeah, right. Want to go outside and hang out? Like, no, I'm building a business, darn it. They tease me. So this concept of turning this building a business concept into an actual business and figuring out I hit a point. And the point that I hit was a breaking point, and it frustrated the tar out of me because I figured out the absolute max amount of clients I could handle on my own was 52 clients a month.
Wow.
Now, if you're a coach,
that's a lot.
That's a lot. It's a lot. I was working from 6 in the morning till 9 at night, 6 days a week, servicing all these client contracts.
Oh, wow, man.
And I mean, I had days where I was praying in the beginning of getting 3 to 5 clients a month. I was like, oh man, if I could just get 3 clients this month, things will be banging. And I remember I partnered up with a lady in Los Angeles. We went and did an event, and I signed up 20 clients in one day.
Oh.
And I walked out with 20 contracts being like, wow, life's going to turn out okay. Like, this is going to work.
For sure. And, oh, wow. That's a lot of people right there to be present for.
Yeah. 20 new clients in one day. I went home and I put together client folders. So I have, stacks of client folders and figuring out how am I going to track everybody and how am I going to remember who's who and how am I going to set up daily standards and all this stuff. And it's taken me the last 7 years. So I'm almost 14 years into coaching now, which is pretty cool. But it's taken me the last 7 years to optimize, systematize, and organize the right systems and processes that right now I limit it to 20 clients at a time. And I work with them one-on-one. We track their results daily. I was showing you some of the stuff we track. We track their, a simple EEG scan of their brain every day to see how well they're able to clear their mind. So we could see the difference. And just to show everyone an example, we could show the difference between a day when they're, let me find a bad day. Here's a day when they're 15% able to focus their mind. If you see all the little zigzags there, they're supposed to be all blank on the bottom, but instead they're all over the place. Versus if we find a day where they're 82% able to focus their mind, you see how much more of that's below the bottom line there. So every day we track how well they're able to do that. On another device we use that's really fun, we were geeking out about before we started this, a device like this that tracks their breathing ratios every day and shows us if they're calm, tense, or focused throughout the day to figure out what's causing them to be calm, tense, or focused. Because if someone's going to perform at their best, we need them to be able to clear their mind and focus on this very moment with no interruption. We need them to stay in a calm or ideally a focused state throughout the day and manage their state through breath control. And then we need certain habits, like I talked about, certain habits lead to this kind of result. Certain habits lead to this kind of result. We need to fine-tune their habits and rituals to get this kind of path being built so that they ultimately land up at these big dreams and results they have instead of doing this every day, hoping to land up here, only to be disappointed later in life. So we optimize human performance, and that's what we do. So I figured out how to do that, grew my own business. I've been doing it. I've never had a year under 6 figures in income from just coaching for the last 7 years in business. And now I hit a point where I'm continuously overflowing with clients and I have a waiting list and I'm thinking, how the heck am I going to get to these people? I learned the lesson with 52 clients, so I'm not going to try that again. We have books and we have training programs. We have all this other stuff. But as of last year, I figured out, you know what? I'm sorry, about a year and a half ago to be specific. Year and a half ago, we figured we need to start training people of how to do this as well. And so my wife and I sat down and said, hey, if we were going to train coaches to work for us, what's everything they need to know in order to deliver world-class coaching for our clients? So we wrote down dozens and dozens of tools and all the information they would need. We spent a year and a half building it into an online training program. And now we've taught it 3 times live. We've had a handful of people come through. And now we're kind of open for enrollment, you could say. But we're only looking for certain types of people. People who in their heart of hearts know that their calling is to be a coach. That's what they're made for. Their DNA says that's who I am. That's what I'm meant to do. It is my mission. It's my calling. It's what I'm made to do. That's what I'm here for. The other person we're looking for is someone who considers themselves to be wildly successful. They've done it. They've built the businesses. They've had an amazing family. They've had a world-class relationship. They have peak health consistently over many decades. But whatever it is, like they consider themselves to be wildly successful, and they would like to become a mentor. They would like to be able to mentor other people in the process that they themselves have truly mastered. And we want to show them exactly how to communicate effectively in a way that causes the person you mentor to not only learn what you're sharing with them, so how do you speak their language, but then how do you get them to actually use it and go get the results in their life, so that if that's the only touch you had in your life, that's the only touch point, and your 6 days came after that, they would remember you forever as the person who shaped their life into what it became from that point forward. I love that, those types of people. And the other people are people who just know in their heart and soul that they were made to coach other people to high performance.
Jairek, it's a beautiful thing. And the clarification, this is a really broad demographic. So this isn't like, because I think when people talk about coaches, they think athletics and sports, but I know it's much broader than that. Can you kind of speak to who this is for, like the broad demographic that you are teaching?
So I'll tell you about the people who've come through the program thus far. Because in the beginning, I thought I knew exactly who was going to be it. And then you open the program and reality strikes. So we've had marriage and family therapists come through who are looking for more tools on how to better coach their clients. So they want more tools. We have 36 modules with dozens and dozens of tools, and they wanted to gather all kinds of new tools that they can use with their clients to help get better results within marriage and family therapy. We had a gentleman who was a counselor for many years, highly successful as a counselor, who he came in and he told us, he said, I'm sick and tired of talking about people's freaking problems. You know, I want to talk about what's right with their life and how to go get more of that instead of what's wrong with their life and how to avoid it. So he came through as a counselor and he learned how to become a performance coach. Now, my thought is, okay, that's pretty close to the same thing, you know, as counseling, except for he's going to be coaching. And instead, he went and he got a full-time job at a company up in New York City who paid him a 6-figure salary out of the gate to be the internal performance coach within their company, to coach all their employees on personal and professional optimization, which is everything we share in the program. So he went and did that. We had another gentleman who graduated from Marshall School of Business, got his MBA at USC in Southern California. He was going into professional consulting, and he wanted more tools on the human aspect of performance because he knows the business side of how to optimize the business. He wanted to know how to optimize the humans who are part of the business. So he came through, he did it. Proud to say he graduated, I think 4 or 5 months ago. And within the first month of graduating, he went out and enrolled a client who he was doing consulting for. He enrolled him at $1,000 a month for performance coaching and for a 6-month agreement. So he had $6,000 back in his pocket within 1 month of graduation. It's pretty nice to see. We have a lady who was a realtor up in Toronto. She just felt called to coaching. She's been doing sales her whole life, just like me. I was in sales prior to getting into coaching. And she says, you know what? I love sales. I'm good at sales and I'm good at making a bunch of money. But in the end of the day, with all this money, it doesn't make me feel fulfilled. You know, I don't feel like I mattered at the end of the day because I sold someone a house. Now I can deliver more love. I can do it with more heart. I can help serve beyond the house. But I want something where I get to dig deep in the life with another human being and really help them at the deepest level. And so she came through as a coach, and she has a handful of clients she coaches up there. Elizabeth from San Diego, what's up? And so who it's for is for people who genuinely want to make a difference in other people's lives, and they want to focus on helping other people become the happiest, healthiest, most fulfilled version of themselves while being able to make an incredibly lucrative career out of it. Because like you said, you know, there's some people who, if I wanted to make just a boat ton of cash and that's all I was concerned about, stock trading, house flipping, real estate stuff. Like there's so many places. I have a friend's mom who she'd go sell one house in Newport Beach, California, and make like $190,000 in one freaking transaction.
One sale, baby.
I was like, dude, if I was about money, I'd move to Newport Beach and become a real estate agent, and I would outwork all of their butts, and I'd make a boat ton of cash flipping $20, $50 million houses. And there's a lot of competition.
Money, right? Yeah,
it was just about the money that I'd go do it, but it's not. And that's the piece. For me, it's not. And for some people it is. God bless them. Go do what you want to do. For the people who have that feeling where it's about more than the money, come and talk to us. Because my belief is do both. I've been in a place where I just coached just to help people, and I gave away tons of free sessions. And it was very fulfilling, but it was also very hard to not be able to give and share with my family and my wife and the people I love the abundance that I hoped to be able to share with them and give to them. And nowadays, now we've been able to figure out, how do you do both? How do you really truly create an income that gives you the freedom and flexibility that you can work from anywhere on earth? We've been able to coach people from a cruise ship in the middle of, the ocean over between Monaco and, Italy, when we were teaching on board there and coaching people via the cell phone tower. One of my favorite training sessions I ever did was on a picnic table in the middle of the jungle of Costa Rica. I was tethering Wi-Fi off of some other person's cell phone and doing a training session with Goldman Sachs. They were in the boardroom. I was sitting at a picnic table. And at the end, they're like, "What's that behind you?" I'm like, "Oh shit, here guys, let me show you your view." And I flipped the camera around and showed them this just picturesque view, serene view of the jungle. They're like, "Why the hell are you in the fucking jungle enjoying yourself? And we're in a fucking boardroom paying you. What's wrong with this picture?" I said, "I don't know."
Baby.
Yeah, I said, you guys are the one who chose the office to work in. I chose the jungle today. And so the ability to work from anywhere, as long as you have the internet, a laptop, and a cell phone, you can work from anywhere on earth and deliver real, true, honest value to other people's lives, so much so that you'll make a lucrative living in the process. We can show you exactly how to do it.
I love it, Jairek. It's really exciting for me, especially when you tell those stories, like being in the jungle and doing business, earning money, doing what you love. That's my idea of bliss. And I really think that people, if they can put their minds in that area of wherever they have an internet connection, they have a business, and that's what you're really teaching folks here.
The wild part is, thanks to Zuckerberg, in the next so many years, Zucks, I think we'll have internet pretty much globally.
Pretty much, with all the drones it's great. It's
you'll be able to sit in the middle of Africa and do some coaching sessions from Safari if you really feel like it.
It's perfect timing, baby. So with that, let's talk about what your coaching program is. When we spoke a couple weeks ago about Performance Coach University, I'll tell you what, man, I didn't sleep much. I got really excited because it's so in alignment with what I'm doing. And to think that over 14 events that I had to go to, you've combined them into these modules, into this course, and people will get what I got times 10. And knowing what it's done for me just fires me up. So to be a part of this really turns me on. Talk about that. Talk a little bit about Performance Coach University and what people should do right now if they want to be a part of that. So I know they can apply.
Absolutely. They can apply. The reason there's an application process is it's not for everybody, and we know that. We've learned that. We used to have a little button where you could just press the button and pay the money and sign up. And we had people signing up that once they got in, we would have them fill out applications and learn about them. And we would realize this is not the right program for them. And so we would have to refund them and push them back out because they were in it for the wrong reasons. Yeah. This is not a program for people who are just trying to make a buck off of other people. That's not what we're looking for. There's nothing wrong with making money. We make great money, but we want heart-centered people who are dedicated and focused on making a difference in other people's lives. And if you have a big enough heart and you're really, truly dedicated to serving others, we will show you how to make a wild amount of money for yourself. But we want the heart first, not the money first, is what we're leading with. So we had some people come in and say, the reason I want to be a coach is so that I could work from a jungle and make 6 figures a year, only working so many hours a week. We're like, you're out. Like, that's not what we're looking for. That you can do that with this program, but that is not what we're looking for. So in this program, it's a 12-week program, and it's 36 modules online. If you're a big-hearted person who wants to genuinely make a difference in people's lives, I'll tell you what each module covers real quick. So there's 6 parts. Part number 1 is the basic coaching foundation. According to the ICF, the BCC, and the regulating bodies of the coaching industry, These modules must be covered for someone to be considered a coach according to them. So they're kind of the regulating bodies. And basically, the basic coaching foundation is a rock solid understanding of what coaching is and how to be highly effective at it. Topics include stuff like the foundation of psychology. So, basically what took me a year of study in university to learn, I cram into about 90 minutes to show you the most important things of the history of psychology as a whole, from behavioral therapists and psychologists to cognitive therapists and psychologists to the school of thought of humanism and humanistic to the, all these little bits and pieces and who are the key players in each stage and moment, how it all strings together and how it led up to coaching as of right now in history. From there, ethics for coaches. So we go through a whole giant module on ethics and how to make sure you're making the right choices and the right decisions. Coaching agreements, establishing trust, powerful questions, how to set the most coaching actions, goals, and accountability. The basics of coaching is this first kind of chunk. Part 2, human drivers. Understand why people do what they do and how to activate them to action. If you happen to be an entrepreneur who owns a business and has a team that works with you or for you, this is a game-changing section here, because what it allows you to do is understand the human dynamics of what's driving people at different stages of their life, different moments of their life, and different value systems. And once you can understand this, you can have a conversation with each one of your team members and immediately activate them to action and get them doubling, tripling, or quadrupling their productivity overnight just by learning how to speak their language that causes them to feel heard, appreciated, and instantly into action. Part number 3, performance coaching tools and strategies. So these are tools for about performance. So we talked about there's certain habits and rituals that lead here, and there's certain habits and rituals that lead here. So this section is habits, rituals, and routines to achieve and maintain peak performance. If you want,
that's a huge section right there, baby. That's huge right there.
If you want these results in life, that's what this section is. How do you have these results instead of these results? These are literally tried, tested, true, proven things that if you do these things consistently, your results look like this. If you do not do them, your results look like this.
And it's no
plain
secret.
And simple.
You just know it. Know it or you don't know it. It's a skill or you don't have the skill. Get the skill.
You're either doing it or you're not doing it. That's part 3. Part 4, decision-making models. How to navigate the most challenging life decisions you're faced with. Now, this one's important because, to be honest, as a coach, you're going to have a client who calls you one day and says, hey, I just found out my best friend, brother, mother, sister, cousin, aunt, child, spouse is in the hospital and they have 6 days left. And the doctor asked me if we should pull the plug or not.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's called a big life decision.
That's big life.
One that can have literally hundreds of pounds of regret follow you around the rest of your life, or one that can be totally a relief knowing you did the right thing. But how the heck do you know which is the right decision to make? Now, most people tell you there is no way. You have to trust your gut. I call BS on that. There is a way. There's certain formats you can take people through, certain structures you can help them go through that help them find an emotional, logical, sound, intelligent decision to make so that even 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if they were to look back, they would still say, because I went through that process, I know I made the correct decision and I will have zero regrets about it, period. So when someone's faced, or, hey, do I quit my job and go start the business of my dreams, or do I just stay here and get the paycheck and the insurance for my family?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd feel horrible if I'm like, go for your dream, and then their kid gets hurt and needs insurance and they don't have any. Like, I'd feel like a jerk to say that. And as a coach, you realize it's not up to you to give advice. It's up to you to have a model to walk them through that allows them to find the answer they need to find with the solution they need to have with total certainty, mental, emotional, physical certainty that says, if I look back 10 years from now, I know I made the right decision because this is why, and I had all proof on paper to back it up, and I know exactly why I did it. So decision-making models, really important. Part 5, building resilience.
Big one.
Game changer. Game changer. You know it. You decide to go after your dream. You decide to go get massive results in life. There's going to be resistance. I don't care who you are. You're going to face resistance. Mental resistance, emotional resistance, physical being worn down. This is where you need specific tools. And the tools in here, this isn't something I made up on a Thursday or had an epiphany and a vision on, one day. These are stuff where we go to like Mark Devine, who's an ex-Navy SEAL who graduated top in his class, and we say, hey, mental toughness. What kind of tools do you need to do every day to keep mentally at the strongest version of who you could be? And he goes, okay, here's my top 3. So, okay, can we include them in our course? Sure. Okay, cool. We go out and get the best stuff from the best people who have proven track records and results to say, you want mental resilience? I've done some cool shit in life, but nothing like this. This guy, number 1 Navy SEAL of his class, graduating Bud's group, here's what he does for mental resilience every day. You might want to help your clients improve some of these in their life and get some of these things going every day based on real results in life, not just book study or hopefully this stuff works. But we also go the opposite end. We also go to the neuroscience lab at Stanford and say, hey, mental resilience, what do you got? Who have you been studying? Who has the ability to do stuff beyond human capacity? And how do they do it up here? What are the habits and rituals they do every single day that give them that ability to tune into super performance mentally, emotionally, and physically? Now, how can we turn that up in our program and teach people simple daily actions and habits to do? They sum it up, we bring it to the program. So simple tools aimed at helping you overcome the major challenges life throws your way. You're going to get hit with challenges. Question is, do you have resilience or do you not? And if you have it, you do with total certainty. If you don't, you might want to pay attention to that section. Part 6.
True.
And mental resilience, this is the difference between, the financial crash that happened. I remember one billionaire had no mental resilience because he dropped from number 3 richest person in the world to number 16. He just couldn't handle such pressure, and he threw himself in front of a train and killed himself over in Russia.
Crazy.
Dude.
Crazy.
How horrible is the 16th richest person on earth? Like that, what a horrible life you have to live at that point.
That had to suck. That had to suck so bad.
Well, just horrible. But it's a lack of mental resilience. And if you want to know where this affects us the deepest right now at this moment in history, young people.
Yeah.
Parents who are raising young people who are lacking mental and emotional resilience, who get bullied at school, they get picked on, they get made fun of, and their only solution, instead of becoming a stronger version of themselves through certain daily habits and rituals, the only solution they feel because they're so emotionally distraught is to come home and kill themselves.
Now, so on that note, Jairek, it sounds like as you're sharing this stuff, I know that we're talking about coaches. You want to get out and monetize and earn money online being a coach to this program. With this program, you can do that for sure. Also, there are those individuals out there who are our family members, their parents, and this information is so incredible. If you don't ever want to go out and earn a dime off of this, you will be massively blessed by having the information so that you can employ these in your families. Effective communication skills.
Every parent should go through this, just because if you start from the top, wouldn't it make sense to know why your children do what they do and how to activate them to action to get them to do the things they need to do to become the best version of themselves? Right. Next, wouldn't it be real smart at a young age, if you want your kid to succeed in life, to teach them the habits, rituals, and routines to achieve and maintain mental, emotional, physical peak performance in all of who they are? Wouldn't it make a whole lot of sense that when your kid's forced with a big decision, do I do that dumb thing or do I choose the right path, that you gave them a model to run their decisions through that allowed them to make the intelligent choice that's going to lead to the life they actually want instead of the stupid shit they might do as a kid because they didn't know any better? Next, mental resilience. Wouldn't it make a whole ton of sense to work with your kid at a young age to become the most mentally and emotionally resilient version of themselves so that when life does pick on them and kids do make fun of them and shit does happen, they have the ability to stand up with total confidence and say, hey, I know who I am. I build myself every day. That's okay. I'm good. I'm going to move on from this. I'm not going to let this drag me down in any way, shape, or form. It'd make a whole ton of sense to me that every parent should be educated on this kind of stuff, and every parent really truly should be using this with every child they have. And this isn't about telling them what to do. It's about giving them the skill sets and giving them the right frameworks that allows them to practice in their own way and get the results that they want. This doesn't say teach your kid how to become a doctor because that's what success is. This says, hey, teach your kid how to make the right decisions that lead them to the results they want, that keep them off the wrong path and keep them on the right path. and not for you to decide what's right and wrong, for them to, based on the model they put that decision through. The final part 6, we have expert and strategic advisors come on. So I talked about that smartest, dumbest decision I made about starting my business as a sole proprietorship, not realizing I was putting everything I had at risk. So we went out and found one of the top legal advisors specifically for coaching. And she comes on and she shares how to set up and protect your business so that you can protect your assets and don't lose your ass in business financially or legally. So she comes on and shares the 10 biggest mistakes people make in the coaching space and exactly how to set yourself up for success. I have a friend of mine come on and I teach one of the modules, basic neuroscience for coaches. So the parts of the brain, the science and chemistry of the neurotransmitters and chemicals going on in your brain and body, and how to activate certain things. So when I talk about mental resilience, there's one thing about like envisioning positive future results. That's good. That can help. But I could go a little bit further than that. And I could say, oh, if you're struggling with depression, I'm going to need you to run for 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day, 3 days a week at a minimum, because that's going to kick off the endorphins, which will start mixing up your biochemistry in a new way. Not only that, I'm going to need you to go volunteer at least 2 hours a week, every single week, because that's going to kick off oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, and a little bit of endorphins in you, in the person receiving it, and anyone observing it. So I'm going to hit you at a high level here and not just say, hey, because it's good for you, or we hope it works. We're going to show you how biochemically we can rewire someone's whole body based on certain actions they do or don't do that cause a certain release of neurotransmitters and chemicals in their brain and body that cause them to feel differently based on the chemistry, not just think positive thoughts and be strong. Like, we're going to show you how to rewire the chemistry to get the person to be back to the best version of themselves. So basic neuroscience for coaches and basic anatomy for coaches of the brain, and how to activate different parts through actions, through activities, through certain things you could do every day to activate better parts of who you are. We have a friend of mine. So people who want to become coaches and build the business of this, we have a friend of mine who's a master. And I don't know if I could say this fully because you might kick me being who you hang out with. But for coaches specifically, he's really mastered the craft of using webinars online to have a discussion as a coach, to create interest and generate leads to come over to a intro coaching session where then you can share with them what coaching is and how it can benefit them. And he's really mastered this specifically in the niche of coaches. So we show you exactly the exact slides in the exact order and the exact sequence that when you do it this way, you get lots of client applications of people wanting to work with you for performance. And we've proven it. We've used it. It works. So he comes on from Australia and walks you through the process of how to do it. We have another friend who comes on, 2 friends actually, who do psychodynamic or behavioral assessments, you could call them. One for business people and entrepreneurs. Roger Hamilton comes on and does that. And one of my other friends does the DISC assessment, so other behavioral assessments and how to better understand your team and yourself and people around you and how to communicate more effectively. We also have a short module I do on relationship coaching. On that, and this is the other part. These are the current ones in the program. We're working that, knock on wood, it hasn't been every month yet, but our goal is every month to add one new module to this continuing education section for people who are coming on board. So this month we're adding influencing through storytelling. Nice. One of my friends who is wildly successful by learning how to tell effective stories in a business manner that influence people to action, that cause them to want to enroll and cause them to want to work with you. He outlined the exact steps of how to craft stories like that. And he did a whole hour-long training for us that we recorded a couple of days ago. We're going to post it up in the course for everybody to tune in and check it out. And people loved it who attended live. They were like, that was amazing. So we have that. And each month we're trying to add a new module from new people teaching new stuff so that the binder, when people print out the binder, it's roughly about this thick. Oops, hold on one second, let me grab it. So the binder itself comes to be roughly like this thick, if you can see this.
That's a nice thick binder.
So this is about the binder of what all the tools look like once you get through the program. And our goal is every single month to add another tool to that binder. So ideally, over the years of working together, we'll have stacks of these binders that at any moment, if you have a client facing a specific issue, you'll be able to go, oh, let me grab one of my binders. Let me go Oh, here we go. Perfect. I know exactly what to do. Okay, let's sit down and go through it. And have you just so filled up with tools that that something my dad taught me years ago. No tool works all the time, but every tool works some of the time. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that we train something I would term like the special forces of coaches. I want to train people who are badass elite at what they do, that they're the people call when shit's going down and they need someone to step in and make the difference in the moment. And I want to train them exactly how to do it. I want to give them the confidence, certainty to be able to do it. And then I want to constantly feed them the best tools we have available on earth to make sure that they're always equipped with the newest, most cutting edge science, information, tools, strategies to make that difference in people's lives. So that's what we're doing.
So with that, on that note, Jairek, is that something that when a person applies today, goes through the 12-week program, do they have access to these upgrades forever?
Forever.
For that one, it's incredible.
And awesome. So that's what we're doing as of right now. That's I don't think that'll always be that way. I think at some point we'll probably draw a line and say, hey, anyone past this point, it's $99 a month. And for each month, we'll give you a new tool that we'll put on. But for right now, anyone who comes in up into this point, they're guaranteed that forever mark where they get to always just keep adding in. So we're building up our first group of coaches here, and they're going to get all the long-term lasting benefits for being the first few hundred people who come and join us. We've already had 30 so far come through and love it and rave about it. I mean, one of my favorite things that happened, we went out to lunch with one of our students up in New York, and another friend joined us. My other friend asked, like, how's that coaching program thing going? And my friend, our client turned to him, and Wade looked at him and said, you haven't taken it? And he goes, no, I've been thinking about it. And he said, dude, this is by far the best investment I have ever made in any piece of education my entire life. Granted, this was the guy who was a very successful counselor I told you about who moved up to New York. He literally said, out of getting my licensing in counseling, out of doing all my education, my university schooling, out of every penny I've ever invested in education, this was by far the best investment I've ever made.
Brother.
I was like, dude, I literally grabbed my phone. I'm like, dude, can you say that again? Can I record it? I was like, okay. True. I was like, I don't want it to be fake. Like, I want it to be real, but I learned I need to keep my phone recording at all times when I'm around students, just in case.
but without a doubt, and the key is, the reality is you're teaching like the package: mind, body, money, relationships, right? You're teaching all this practical, highest level, the best of the best information for people to live a juicy life. They cut through all the BS. You get right to what works, and you get to use this in your family, with your children, with your business partners, with your all relationships, with money, and forever. It doesn't get any better than that. People see, all their lives trying to find one, how to earn a bunch of money. And there are a lot of people who earn a lot of money, but their relationships suck. And that's not success. Or they're unhealthy. Or there's somebody who's super healthy and got a great six-pack, but they're broke and their relationships suck. Right? It's like the thing that I've learned working with you is that it's got to be the whole package, baby. And having the tools and the skill sets to elevate one of those areas, whether it's the mind, which you work on, the neuroscience, the neural pathways and all that stuff, the relationships with communication and being present. The fact that people get that all underneath one roof with the coaching program is remarkable. I'm blown away by
it. The fun part of it is it's not only they get it for themselves, and this is kind of sneaky thing we put in here, as people are learning and trading of how to coach other people through this. One of my favorite things we get as people are going through the program, we get emails of like, wow, holy hell, I applied this to my life. I'm seeing results already. I'm like, remember, you're only supposed to use it for other people.
Yeah, wink, wink, elbow, elbow.
And what happens is when people go through the program, you see the results in their life start to transform overnight. And that it also happens where we've had people who've already been coaches come through to gather more tools. And one of my favorites is a gentleman, his name's Josh. He's over in Los Angeles. One of his clients wrote in on behalf of him and said, hey, I've been coaching with Josh for a few years, and I got to tell you, the quality of his coaching has gone up at least tenfold since he started that course with you. Thanks for giving my coach the extra tools, man. It's awesome.
That's cool.
And it's like, cool. How cool. There's another one. I don't know if I have it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. There's, I don't know where I put it. The other part we do is we don't, like, it's nice to hear that our clients love the program, But we also dig a little deeper and say, but what are their clients saying about them as a coach? I'm interested in that. Like, I'm really interested in what their clients say. And let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I'll read a few client testimonials from one of our coaches over in Ireland. She was coaching people. And one of the second level certification pieces we do is we do an external survey on your clients to rate you as a coach and tell you how you're actually doing. So instead of just, we rate ourselves and we understand how we're doing, but we want to know, oh, here they are. So she had a handful of clients fill this out. And let me read a few of the endorsements of what they say about coaching with her. Now, granted, they knew that this was going to someone who is reviewing her coaching, and it asks, how's coaching? And so this person says, my coach communicates with me effectively, strongly agree. My coach listens and understands and is responsive to my needs, strongly agree. So 5 stars, 5 stars. My coach helps me develop specific measurable action plans, 5 stars. My coach holds me accountable to commitments I make, 5 stars. The fun part, so 5 stars all the way down. I get to the bottom. Her name is Yvonne, the coach. So Yvonne is a caring, wonderful person. I can feel it genuine and full of great knowledge. She has solutions for strategies for my business and personal struggles. Let's see. The sessions provide me with lots of positive reinforcement and framework to help me identify the changes I want to make. Ivana has enabled me to transform my life, and I will forever be grateful. It's like, hey, it's working.
You get people, even writing something like that for the coach. I mean, it takes time, takes effort, but when they actually take the time to do it, that means that they're getting some pretty good juice from the deal.
Yeah. Like, I hate to say it, but if you're getting shitty results, you don't write stuff like this. You're like, yeah, they're okay. Thanks. Let's see. A great coach who cares and listens with passion and enthusiasm. She can lift your spirits and motivate you to make smart, meaningful changes in your life. I'm like, hey, that's pretty cool. Keep going. Here's another one. If you want a coach who will, through her leadership and communication skills, help you develop into that you want to be, then look no further. By coaching with Yvonne, you will see both amazing and immediate results.
Good job, Yvonne.
Dude, good job, Yvonne. You're killing it.
Good job.
And so, as much as I'm excited to know that they love our course, and, let me give you, here's a few things they say about our course. Jarek's training has been a game changer for my personal training business. Oh yeah, personal trainers, fitness, yogi people. They,
nice.
I don't know if you've been a yoga instructor and you have that student who really has a lot of stuff come through them while they're on their mat. And at the end of class, they come up and say, hey, can I talk to you for a sec? I had a lot of stuff going on. Like, do you have any tips of how to work my way through it? And the only thing you've been trained to say as a yoga teacher is come to your mat. Your mat will solve it all. And in your heart of hearts that there's something more you could say, but you don't know what the hell that is, you might want to check out our program, because our program can show you how to actually help them through that shit instead of just telling them the mat will solve everything. But it's true. So a friend of mine is a personal trainer. He said, this has been a game changer for my personal training business. It makes my work even more rewarding as my clients see even greater results. He's a gentleman here. He's the first guy I taught here in Tampa how to do it. Nice. Aaron, PCU is truly a fantastic experience. I've learned an incredible amount in doing it. Yulia, our realtor who's up in Toronto, PCU is loaded with tools, strategies, and tested out ideas, super learning. This was my favorite. Josh, the guy I mentioned in Los Angeles, he said, I've learned more about coaching in 10 modules of Performance Coach University than I have in the last 2 years of trying to piece it all together myself. This program is extremely valuable and is definitely the fulcrum of my practice.
Huge.
So not only do we get these kind of things, but then we get testimonials like you just heard for our students, like Yvonne, who these people are raving about their experience. So the coolest part for me is, yes, I love knowing that people love the program as students. I love even more knowing that our students are going out and rocking people's worlds as a coach. That's the cool part.
Beautiful ripple effect, man, that's happening there. And you said something earlier, Jairek, that I want to make sure I'm clear about this, is that you said that you had Amanda created this coaching program because you wanted to teach people exactly how to coach, possibly even for your own coaching programs. Did I hear that correctly?
Right. So Here's what's interesting. There's an extra step, and we won't be able to do this forever because we'll have too many students that have come through. But as of right now, there's a 2-step qualification. Step number 1 is you got to become a graduate coach. A graduate coach is someone who takes the program and graduates, meaning you pass all the quizzes, you pass the final exam, You do your oral exam, which is submitting 2 different types of calls, and we grade them and rate them to make sure you're delivering high quality coaching in both calls. And at that point, we consider you a graduate coach. You've graduated the program. From there, there's a second level where you become a certified coach. A certified coach only lasts for 12 months at a time. And a certified coach means you've gone out and you've enrolled 10 clients of your own, and you've coached all 10 clients for at least 3 months minimum for every client. And at the 3-month mark, we as an outside company send out that research survey to see what quality of coaching you're providing. And based on the responses we receive from your actual clients, how they actually rate you, we give you a gold, silver, bronze rating. And with that gold, silver, bronze rating, it's good for 12 months. And it tells the world around you, according to my actual clients within the past 12 months, here's the actual results I've been able to deliver as a coach. And that way, if someone's going to hire you, they know this is how you're performing right now. I have a little bit of an issue with other programs that do the kind of classification of how coaches perform, only because some of them are based on the amount of time and sessions you've delivered with only one call that they ever rate to see how well you coach. And if you've done 20, exactly, if you've done 2,500 calls and the one call you submit happens to be the unicorn of all calls, and they give you a master certified coach forever, now that makes everyone believe that you are truly a master of your craft. The problem is, if you ran in the 1984 Olympics and won the gold medal, sure, you won the gold medal. That's the real deal. But can you still run that fast right now in 2017? Or did you used to have the goods back then and you kind of lost your thunder over the years? That's what we don't know. And that's a big thing to risk if you're counting on this coach to kick your ass and hold you accountable to the highest standard, and they might have magically lost their thunder since they've been certified as the master. And so what we want to do, we want real, true accountability that says, hey, they're still delivering, they're still at their best, and according to their clients, they're still actually producing real results in coaching. That's what we want. And if they drop to a silver, no problem. People will still hire you, but they'll hire you knowing that you're delivering at that level right now, instead of hiring you thinking you're a master whatever coach, and in reality, you're kind of showing up subpar right now. I want them to know how you're actually showing up within this 12-month period of time, so they know exactly what they're getting when they make that investment.
It's huge for coaches. Huge for coaches to be held accountable, because it's easy to slip, and that's one of the things I'm excited about personally, is being involved with the program so that my accountability is held high. I love it. I love it. I love how I feel about myself when I am operating at high integrity, honoring my word. I'm showing up, I'm producing and sharing high level value. Feels great. And sometimes I can get in my own way, and without having another coach out there to really check in and say, hey, you said you were this, but you're being that. Be this, You got to have that. So feel good by living at a high level. And that's what I hear you say you're doing with this. You're holding coaches accountable to high levels so they can feel good about themselves and produce massive results in the world.
And the other piece is, anyone that I'm going to put my name on for the rest of my freaking life, I want to know is the real deal and is actually showing up. And that's part of why we have an application process, because we're not just letting everyone sign up and be like, oh, sign up. Because then what happens is we get some people who aren't the real deal, who slip through the cracks, and now they've got my freaking name on them the rest of their life, telling everyone, here's where I got trained. And I'm like, dude, I didn't do that. And
Wasn't me.
I have to take responsibility for whoever comes through this. So we really, truly read every application. We turned a gentleman away the other day because he showed up. He's a young international student who said, I'm made to be a coach. It's my mission. I'm determined. I'm going to do this. And he said, I'm driven. I already have clients I'm helping, blah, 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 blah. We're like, okay, good. And we got down to the part where he said, but the thing is, I just don't have the money. We're like, that's okay. What's your plan? How are you going to do it? Like, my wife didn't have the money to go to college, and her parents sure as heck didn't have it. And she figured out how to make it happen. What's your plan? And he was like, well, I guess my plan is to just wait until someday when I make enough money and, then maybe 5 years from now or something I can join. And we said, okay, we're going to stop you right there. We're going to go ahead and decline this application. And it has nothing to do with the money. It has everything to do with the mindset, because you're still stuck in a mindset that says, I can't do this, instead of how can I do this? And here's the problem we have. We don't care about your financial situation. What we do care about is if you're going to be coaching a client and you're willing to let yourself settle for that kind of thought, you're going to let them settle for that kind of thought. And that will not get clients results. Now, you have to make sure it's the right decision, and you got to make sure that it's an intelligent decision. And as long as it's that, then letting money stop you is real crap. And it could be, I don't have the time, it could be I don't have the money, whatever excuse shows up. But letting something stand in your way and say, I can't do that versus how can I do that? We can't have coaches operating with the, oh, I can't do that. Oh, that's too much. Oh, this is, we need coaches who are operating with a limitless mindset that says, hey, if I believe this is right, how can I make it happen? And I'm going to go come up with a plan, and I'm going to show up and frickin' deliver. And that's the operation of mindset we need. So part of the thing we're looking for when we read these applications, and we weed out a lot of people immediately, because we're looking for how they describe what they believe about life. We're looking at their thoughts. We're asking all kinds of questions, but we're looking for who already has the mindset that's limitless. That says, if I want something, I make it happen. I don't let anything stop me from doing so. If I'm going to serve someone and I'm going to help someone, I'm not going to let their limitations overcome me. As a coach, I will step up and I will hear their limitations. I will acknowledge them. I will call them out, and I will walk them right through those things and get them to the results. Because if you can't do that yourself, how the heck are you going to do it for somebody else?
So important. What you just described, one of the greatest gifts, and coaching starts with at the phone call on the application. It starts when you start filling it out, really, as we're reading it. But within just a minute, 60 seconds of a language pattern, can find out very clearly whether or not this is somebody I want to work with long term or not. And that was from doing hundreds and hundreds of calls to get to that place. But I found that long term, to try to drag somebody along who's not in that mindset is such a waste of time. To get through that lovingly, like you said, we decline this application and get on to the next person to find the people who are in the right mindset is our job. It's our job to find people who are ready.
That's right. And here's the other part. They have the opportunity to reapply at a future date. You can reapply. But when you come back, we're going to give you a little game plan that says, hey, here's how to do it. My wife had a beautiful conversation with that young man. She shared with him her personal story of how she was able to transition her own mindset from, I can't go to college because my dad said we can't afford it, to, no, that's crap. How can I go to college? And she sat down and she wrote it up a dozen different ways she could do it. And she came up with all kinds of different things. And she went out there and hunted for all the different ways, whether it's a scholarship, whether it's a grant, and then she got a scholarship, but then the grant, if you get a grant, it cuts off the scholarship. So she's like, oh, crap. So she went back and forth. She went and got a job. She did everything she could to make it happen. And she graduated, I think it was in business from Michigan State University.
Dude, and that's huge. What you just described is like she didn't know how she was going to do it. She just made the decision that she was going to do it.
That's right. And
then everything flowed into place. Isn't it interesting how the unconscious and the universe say, well, they decided, so let's put it in place. So right. You're not alone. We're not alone when we decide. It's the indecision that just screws everything up, man. Causes us to stay stagnant.
And that's something that she noticed. I mean, I wish she was here. I'd have her tell the story. But she should share it sometime with y'all. It's the concept where she realized, she was like, growing up, her family went through some tough financial times. And, she saw her other friends who had houses on the lake and wore designer clothes and had all this stuff. And then, her stuff was either from, food stamps or free lunch at school from the lunch program, or, clothes on layaway and stuff like that. And when she was 14, she's like, you know what? I'm tired of this. My parents said we can't afford it. How can I afford it? So at 14, she went and got a job for like $4 an hour under the table, so she could earn her own money, so she could buy her one pair of designer jeans. And it doesn't care if it's from a discount store or not. She went and got her freaking jeans she wanted. The other thing she wanted was veggie burgers. She decided she loved animals so much, she did not want to eat animals. And the only thing really available was like meat and potatoes. So she was like, you know what? I'm going to go buy myself some veggie burgers so I could eat what I want. And so she's a how can I make this happen type of person. It's something that's very attractive about her to me, because I looked at her as a partner in life and said, hey, if we're going to go through life together, I want someone who says, how can we make this happen? Not, oh, shoot, we can't do it. Too much, too late, too much time. So she's a how can I person. And it's very attractive as another human being to find people like that to share life with. But in order to find them, you got to be one.
You got to be it, right? If you want to attract it, you have to be it. And that's something that we talk about constantly. And you and Amanda are really, I love tuning in. When I see you live, I tune in just to watch you two together. See the way you interact, your best friends, you hang out. You know, you have your independent lives, but you've really got this structure of a really awesome relationship. So I'm like also excited that you guys are going to coach some of that in this program too. We'll make damn sure, right? Come on,
it's
man.
in there. It's
All
in there.
right.
So
I'm excited for the folks who are here that, you know, I'm actually going to go through this coaching program with Jairek again as well to hone skills, to be a participant with this, and inviting a lot of my friends into this coaching program, because I believe that this is the one that was the biggest game changer for me when I worked with Jairek, when it was spread out over 14 events. That took a lot, you guys. You have to understand, 14 events in 2 years meant getting on a plane. One year, my airline budget was $10,000. You know, and I'm telling you, it was because I knew it was time. It was time to make a decision. It was time to change my life and be the man that I needed to be. And I knew I did not know what I didn't know, but I knew that Jairek knew, and I knew that the people I was going to be surrounding myself with knew. And through that process, I was really elevated into a circle of influence. It's a high demographic. And I'm not talking about just financially wealthy. Those people tend to have, you know, as a byproduct, a lot of money. It was more about their heart, their spirit, the way they spoke, the standards that we held one another to. You know, you're going to eat that? Oh, maybe not. You know, because you said you wanted to get a six pack. You said you want to go into ketosis, but that's, you know, that's what's amazing about this, is really operating and seeing what's possible. And when people, that saying, you will be the average of your 5 closest friends, that is true. It's true. And so what I love about this is being able to invite my friends, my community, my social network into a coaching program that will absolutely put you in a demographic of people that you will be very proud to have as your peers, as well as your friends. That's how Jairek and I became friends. You know, you show up and he's like, hey, you again. Oh, it's you. And then a couple of years ago, he invited me to go to Jackson and go skiing with him. So that's how it happens. How do you get to know people like Jairek? How do you get to know people? You know, is by you just go show up. And in this situation, you get to learn some life skills that are absolutely game changing. You will be different. That's the thing I can guarantee you. You will be different, and you will see most people not as less, but you will start to see that people are skilled or unskilled, right? And that's it, skilled or unskilled. You're going to have some skills that will make your life amazing. Yeah. So let me hand it back to you, Pat.
The other piece that you learn is you just get better. And it's as simple as that. People talk about like your life will transform. And I say the truth is most people, if you're watching this, you have a pretty good life. Now, you might not believe that, but 90% of the world lives in a mud hut and you know, lives on less than a couple bucks a day. So if you're watching this, I'm guessing you have a pretty good life overall, comparably to the world. And the concept is we'll help make it better. We'll help make it better up here so that every day is something that no matter where life takes you, you enjoy the process. There's something a lady named Carol Dweck came up with over at Stanford as well called growth mindset. And it's something we teach about in the course. And it's something where you realize when you have a growth mindset, you realize good days are just as much as part of the process as bad days. And now when things go good, you celebrate. When things go bad, you celebrate. It's part of the process. And you enjoy every single side of the journey because you know it's natural and normal. And she said there's also something called a fixed mindset. And a fixed mindset believes if it's meant to be, it'll work out effortlessly. Now, the only problem with that is anytime something gets difficult for someone who has a fixed mindset, they quit.
Must not be supposed to happen to me. Must not supposed to be the way it works, right?
If this relationship was really meant to be, it wouldn't take so much effort. They walk away. If this business was meant to work, it wouldn't take so much effort. They walk away. If this, you know, if my child was supposed to be my child, then it wouldn't take so much effort. Now that sounds like a really shitty thing to say, but there's parents who believe that. Like, I don't know, maybe I took the wrong one home from the hospital. Like, shouldn't it be easier than this if I'm
That's a
meant to
killer
be a parent?
mindset. In my estimation, what I've seen is a killer mindset, because people always just right before it's going to happen, they bag out. I'm done.
Yeah, it kills everything. It really does. It kills their confidence, kills their certainty in who they are, kills their emotional fortitude, kills their emotional resilience, kills their ability to show up and optimize and perform at their best because they just keep giving up. Versus that growth mindset is like, hey, there's going to be great times throughout this journey and there's going to be real shitty times throughout this journey, and both are natural. As long as we learn from it, we'll just keep moving forward. And it's like, oh, okay. And they don't just say that. They don't just watch a YouTube video and think it. They literally live that way every single day. And so it's, how do you ingrain that growth mindset? Not only that growth mindset factor, but then how do you start really truly just living it so much so that when you go out into your community, your life becomes the message you want to share with the world. It's something I stand for. If you see this, I don't know if it's forward or backward, sometimes depending on the camera. It says, learn it, live it, give it. And so I grew up in an environment, obviously my godfather co-founded NLP, and my dad's been teaching millions of people around the world since I've been a kid. So the stuff in this program, it's not like an epiphany I came up with one day. This is tried, proven material that, I have the ability to stand on the shoulders of great giants before me that have come in this industry and really truly pay forward the best, most useful, most applicable, and most relevant and up-to-date content available with you as someone who's looking to get into this space. So that thought process, this is the best of what's available as of now, and the continuing education process of us always going out and having people and ourselves researching, dragging in more of what's available to constantly update you on the best of what's available and keep you, like I said, special forces of coaches, the elite, the top of the group that's out there that you can absolutely deliver in the moment results for people. That concept. But when I grew up in all these events and seminars and books, you get a lot of people who learn it and a lot of people who want to give it, big-hearted people who want to go make a difference. They want to pay it forward. They want to help other people. But when you look closely at their life, they're missing the middle part. Mm-hmm. They're missing the live it. They're missing the part that says, hey, I didn't read a book and I'm going to jump on and tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. Hey, I read a book. Fucking watch me. Just watch Instagram. Watch my Facebook Lives. Come over to my house and watch me every day. Watch what I actually do. And if I don't have to say a freaking word about what's going on, just watch closely. And my life will be my message. And you can see clearly what I do. Yeah. And based on what I do, you can decide to join in or decide to go your own route. But that concept of let your life become your message. Let your walking be so loud that your talking doesn't even need to be spoke. Like you don't have to say a word. And I think one of my favorite quotes is, your actions speak so loud I can't hear a word coming out of your mouth. It's one of my favorites. And live that way. Live so boldly in who you are every single day that your actions speak so loud you don't have to say a damn word to people. They know who you are. They know what you represent. And how you represent it and how you walk every day is the message that ripples into their lives and gives them great example of a similar path they could walk if they choose to.
So beautiful. It's so cool. It's so true. And that's the magic of what we've got with technology and social media today, is that you're not hiding anything. You may for a minute, but not for long. And, there was a time, and being congruent, if you're going to teach something, you've got to be it. Like you say, you got to live it. And there was a time recently where things were such in my life where it's like, I'm not able to coach right now. I'm not able to coach. So I stopped my coaching program, and I took about 3 months just to really recenter and find myself. I was going through one of those shedding of an invention. I wasn't living congruent at that time with what I was teaching. And it's like, no, can't do it. And it was the greatest decision I made. It was costly in the short term, but priceless in the long term. So, and because if I'm not being what I'm supposed to be, if I'm not being what I'm coaching, I'm not able to do it. And with social media and photos and images and people who are doing this today, they're showing you how they're living, like Jarek's talking about. Man, there was a while that you and Amanda were doing a live stream almost on a daily basis. You may still be doing it. And you can't hide behind that, the language patterns, what they're doing, they're walking, they're cooking, they're doing it, man. And that's the cool thing about this with folks is learning how to live a life that's less ordinary, man. It is so, It's a remarkable time to be alive, to have this much reach on the planet, to have the ability to work from anywhere on the planet, doing this kind of stuff, and to have the toolkit right here in front of you. I think it's just a gift, an incredible gift. And
it's a very cool moment.
The application, by the way, the application is either down here or over there. No, over there in the comments. And it's performancecoachuniversity.com/apply. And we'll be going through these, man. I'm going to help. Is that cool? I'm going to help with this. I'm going to go through and talk to some folks and see what we got cooking.
Let's do it.
Let's build a community. What would it look like? What would it look like 1 year from now to have learned these skills in your life, be communicating with your partner amazingly, having an amazing relationship there, and a not boring sex life, having effective and strong communications with your business partners, loving communication with your children, rolling through challenges, which are always challenges, but rolling through challenges knowing it's going to get better because that's life. Learning to have the skill sets that will literally just make your life at least 10 times more juicy and fun than it is now. And that's what we are.
I would throw this out there for guys listening. What would it look like if you could finally figure out a way to communicate where you'd argue less, have more sex, and she'd finally be happy?
Sold. Application in the comments.
Really, truly. I mean, really, truly. If you comb through the different things we cover, for you to understand her at the deepest level, for you to appreciate who she is, and for you to communicate in such an effective way that the arguing would disappear because you know how to effectively speak her language instead of combat her with your language or the way you like to try to do it. Not only that, she would feel so understood that she'd want to connect physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually deeper with you every day, which the sex goes up at that point. And then the final piece, if she feels truly, deeply understood at the deepest level, I guarantee her happiness will go through the moon. Now, on the reverse, what would it feel like as a man, for your partner to communicate with you in such a way that you would feel appreciated and you would feel really, truly as if you were her hero, because by the way you showed up, you light her world up every day. And we can show you exactly how to do that. Now, on the reverse side, if you're a woman, what would it feel like if you were in a relationship where this man finally figured out how to understand you? And not just understand what you're saying, but understand what you're feeling. And he not only understood you, but you felt safe because you knew there was nothing in his world that was more important than you. And he finally figured out how to adjust his values to make it work that way. That thought, like, we know people and we know what people need and want and desire. And we know how to help people through communication, through certain habits and rituals. There's certain habits and rituals in a relationship that lead to this. And there's certain habits and rituals in a relationship that lead to this. They're just there. And again, it's not my research. It's research done by a group who studied 3,000 couples for over 30 years. They studied how they communicate, how they talk to each other, how they look at each other, how they react to each other. And there's certain simple habits that when done consistently lead to they call it the master of a relationship. And there's certain habits and rituals when done consistently lead to a disaster. And so with those types of things, like, these tools help set the foundation that is useful to master relationships, because you got to master mental resilience. You got to master certain habits for performance. You got to master certain habits to really understand how to speak someone else's language. So understand why they do what they do and how to speak to them in a way that causes them to activate as the best version of themselves. That process you have to be able to understand. And once you do, now we can layer specific niche tool sets on top of that say, oh, keep doing these habits to be your best self. Now add in a couple of these habits and boom, you're going to light that person's world up and make them feel like the most important, valued, heard, seen, and understood woman on this planet. Or you're going to light him up, making him feel appreciated and making him feel really respected for how he shows up and the gifts he brings to this world. And it's like instantly you're speaking into who they really are because you understand how to speak their language. We show you all that kind of stuff. And we show you exactly how to apply it and exactly with pure authenticity, how to bring your best self forward and make those relationships boom in your life and make those connections really, truly the deepest, most loving and caring connections you could possibly have. Family, friends, community, clients, everyone you work with, because it's something that we strive to do ourselves. Hopefully it's useful for everybody. Make sure to visit performancecoachuniversity.com/apply. If you're still watching, make sure if it says, where did you find us? There's a little section that has a bunch of little check boxes. Make sure to check other and click, conversation with Troy. So I want to know if you came from here. Yeah. We also have a special bonus discount we'll give you. We'll surprise you. But if you came from this and you write in the where did you find us and you click conversation with Troy, we have a special financial discount which you will definitely want to take us up on that we will give you. It's over a few $100s in discounts that we'll give you on the program if you want to take it. But make sure to type that in the little section of where you found us. So conversation with Troy in the where you found us section. But go to performancecoachuniversity.com/apply. Check out that application and really, truly spend a moment on the front page, comb through, read about the course, look at the sample overview, look at the other instructors, look at the testimonials, check it all out so you know what's really in there. And there's a lot. There's more than what we talked about so far today. So make sure you comb through it and really see what's in there. And then if you feel it's the right fit for you, click the apply button, fill out that application. We'll review it and try to get back to you as quickly as possible. We currently have about 181 applications we're still trying to get through as of today. So we're working as fast and diligently as possible to get through all these applications. And we'll do our best to get to you as fast as possible when you fill it out and see if it's the right fit and hopefully make some magic happen together.
I love it. Jairek, I appreciate you taking the time, my friend. And speaking to this audience, I love to get some of my close friends in closer community over the next 12 weeks and really watch some magic happen in the next 12 weeks, build some amazing relationships. So
speaking of which, in the next 12 weeks, at the end of summer, I don't have the exact dates with me. We give a bonus. So when someone signs up, they get the program itself, which is a 12-week, 36-module online training program, plus all the continuing education updates we have. They get a copy of the course textbook, which is an amazing textbook. It's out of reach, otherwise I grab it and show it to you. An amazing big old textbook that covers all the basics of coaching, plus another huge handful of tools that we don't cover in the training models, but it's in the textbook, so you can read about them and learn them that way. They also get a business building box of books we put together. So our favorite books on how to build the business of coaching, give you a whole stack of those. We also have a 2-day business building boot camp for coaching businesses where we bring you out to Tampa, Florida. You can come attend live. It's free. It's part of the program. And you come attend, and we spend 2 days with a couple friends of ours who drop in as external mentors to teach you how to grow the business of coaching. So I show you exactly how I went from 0 to 52 clients in 6 or 8 months roughly, but how to do that, how to go from 0 to 6 figures in 8 months. And we show you literally how to do it, from how to setting up a Facebook ad if you've never done it before, to how to drive that to a webinar, to how to have a conversation, to how to get to the sheet. I forgot to tell you, we have another gentleman come on who we didn't mention, who's done over 10,000 enrollment sessions to sign people up for personal coaching. He comes on and shows with you the exact 9 steps they use in every single enrollment call to help them go from interested in coaching to signing up for coaching. And he walks you through the exact process, what to say, how to say it, when to say it, every single step to go ahead and convert that person over into a new client. And so we have him come on as well. And then we have a few friends of ours come in on that 2 days where they show you how to create powerful partnerships to immediately grow your brand. And it works. We've had clients use it. They immediately went out and signed up a handful of clients, just like I did when I went and signed 20 clients in a day using a powerful partnership. So that 2-day business building bootcamp is one of our favorite things we do every year, and where we get to sit down with a handful of our coaches. It's very intimate. We hang out. We spend about 2 days building your business and outlining all the different bits and pieces. And then from there, we go spend about a half day just having a little fun. Last year we did go-kart races and some other fun stuff around Tampa just to enjoy ourselves. So we have a little bit fun together. We have a super great time. And then we also set you up for success and make sure that not only have all the tools and training to go make a difference, but then we train you how to set up on the business side. And the business thing, I mean, I've seen people for a 2-day boot camp like that on the topics we cover charge anywhere between $2,000 to $10,000 to get access to that kind of stuff. So we toss that in as a bonus just to support people to make sure that once you have the tools, we show you how to build the business of it if that's something you desire to do. Super cool. And you have a date for that, Jairek, or is that something that's out there yet? Let me check my calendar real quick. I think it's the end of August.
Great. Well, perfect timing. That would be at the end of the 12 weeks, man. What a nice way to wrap it up.
Sorry, it's the beginning of August.
Beginning of August. So
as of right now, I think it is August 4th, 5th, and 6th is what looks like what we're holding. But I have to double check in case. I know we have some filming we have to do for a new program we're creating and a couple other stuff too.
You got to do Udemy course coming out, right?
Yeah. We're jumping up to St. Louis to go film with an expert.
Nice.
On Wednesday, actually. Thursday we're filming, but Wednesday we're flying up. We just booked flights a couple hours ago. So we're flying up there to film. We have a handful of experts. We have Sean Stevenson on sleep. We have Ben Greenfield on nutrition and exercise.
Nice.
Big Ben. We have Wim Hof coming in on how to tap into super performance mentally, physically, and emotionally. I believe, not confirmed yet. We're waiting. We have a soft confirmation, but they've had a few adjustments in leadership. I believe we have Brian Bradley from Egoscue coming over for pain-free movement and living. We have, who else do we have? Myself, and I feel like I'm missing someone.
What kind of a course? This is a course, obviously, a cumulative of ninja-type people. So
yeah,
that's what this is, like in a box, right?
It's going to be up on Udemy. It's going to be rather inexpensive. We've worked out a deal where it might be like a couple $100 course, but we've worked out some promotional plans with them that they might have it on sale in the beginning for like, I don't know, 40, 50, $60.
Cool.
To grab access to this. And the program itself is for optimizing personal performance. Yeah. So when we look at a professional person, there's certain things they need to be at their absolute best. And I wrote them out here. There's about 11 of them to be specific. But I mean, just to wrap up real quick, I'll give you if you're going to optimize personal performance, 11 things. Number one, you need an absolute ideal day vision and ideal life vision. You need to know where you're going. I don't know a human being on this planet that performs at their absolute best who doesn't know exactly where they're going. So if you don't know where you're going, you're going to need a vision. And you know, we wrote about it in the book, but we're going to start off the program with helping you nail down in a video format your exact ideal day vision and ideal life vision. From there, talked about habits and rituals for results. We're going to show you exactly how to build the habits and rituals necessary to get the vision you want. If you want that vision, there's certain habits and rituals that lead you there and certain ones that get you away from there. We're going to help you in the program to find which habits you need to stop doing immediately and which habits you need to start doing immediately to actually lead to that vision you want. Next up, deep meaning and purpose. This is another key piece. If you want to perform at your best, you have to have deep meaning and purpose in all that you do. Otherwise, eventually you'll throw in the towel and walk away. You have to find meaning, so much so that if you were to die today, you would die with a smile on your face knowing that you live true to your purpose in life. So how do you find that deep meaning and purpose? Next up, you need a peer group. You need a community of people who hold you accountable to be your absolute fucking best version of yourself every single day. And it's true. So we show you a strategy of how to find people who are a step or two ahead of where you're at or in front of you. It's people who are at the same exact moment of life you're at and people who are a step or two behind you so that you can learn from the ones ahead of you. You can trade war stories of what's working and what's not with the people at the same level, and you can pay forward and share with the people a couple steps behind you to help them catch up. So that concept of creating a powerful peer group and how to cultivate it, how to keep it going, how to keep connected to it, and how to constantly keep thriving together. Next up, happiness. It's a piece where we show you 7 scientifically proven ways that if you do these 7 things every single day, it's proven by Harvard research, you will be happier at the end of that 30 days than before, period. And so we show you exactly the 7 factors to improve your happiness every single day. Because if you're not happy and you're in a relationship, I hate to say it, but you're like a cancer in that relationship because eventually your unhappiness starts eating away at the soul of that other human being. And they start to feel like, shit, if I can't make them happy, maybe it's the wrong fucking place. And the truth is, happiness is an inside job. And it's something that if you do these 7 things every single day, you become a happier, healthier, more resilient version of yourself. And therefore, your relationship has the ability to focus on connecting with each other and cultivating love instead of trying to figure out how to solve each other's problems every day. So there's certain key factors here that help with performance, but also help with relationships. Next up, you're going to need absolute mental clarity. So we go through the exact steps every day to get absolute and total mental clarity, to clear out the clutter, have total zero-sum focus on exactly where you want to go. From there, we talk about how to tap into bless you, how to tap into maximum personal and professional performance based on how to activate mental super performance. That's where Wim Hof comes in and shows us how to do that. And our friend from Stanford Neuroscience shows us the actual chemistry of what's going on that when that stuff happens. State and breath management, we talk about how to control your state, keep yourself in a focused and calm state throughout the day and keep out of tense or fight or flight. And then the final piece, Ben, Sean, and I guess Ben and Sean, and then a little bit of Brian come on, and they talk about how to maximize your sleep. Not at least every super performer on the planet, as far as an athlete, gets about 9 to 12 hours of sleep at night. I see a lot of entrepreneurs go with, 4 hours is enough because I need more time to work. And the truth is, 4 hours is crap. You know it as well as I do. And that's the equivalent of drunk dancing. The more you drink of your Kool-Aid, the better dancer you think you are, but your friends watching, filming that shit for Snapchat and Instagram know that you're getting way worse minute by minute. Same thing happens with your cognitive functioning when it comes to sleep. The less you sleep, the better you think you're performing, and you're getting really sloppy and having piss poor performance out on the game field of life. So how to optimize sleep, certain things you can do to optimize your sleep, not just get sleep, because there's also a difference. I had a gentleman who was a Chief Master Sergeant U.S. Air Force. He came home, had a little bit of PTSD. He was only getting 4 hours of sleep a night, but really, truly, he was only getting about 40 minutes of deep sleep.
Ugh.
That sucked. So we started with certain breathing techniques, certain rearranging of his man cave or sleep cave to get him back to a better place, certain routines before and after. And literally within about a month of working together, we got him to have like 4 hours of deep sleep with a total of 6 hours of total sleep.
Game changer.
So
Life
we took
changer
him
for
from
him.
40 minutes to 4 hours of deep sleep. So certain things that optimize your sleep performance, certain things that optimize your nutrition. I cross paths with lots of entrepreneurs and lots of people who say, I want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger and run the Ironman and win the Ironman competition. I'm like, bro, hate to tell this to you. Those are two radically different plans. One has a lot of energy, mentally, emotionally, physically. One has low energy, but looks really good. So what are you optimizing for? Are you optimizing for physique and look, or are you optimizing for actual energy and performance? Now, to perform in an Ironman versus to perform in a rugged maniac or to perform in a, ultra long distance triple marathon, those are radically different plans, different eating plans, different fuel source, different machinery, different, practices. So we brought in Ben Greenfield to lay it out and say, hey, depending on what you're trying to get to, here's different plans to get you there. So pick the plan that's appropriate to where you're going and use that plan. Do not jump from plan to plan. Pick it and use the plan to get to where you want. And that dude is a wild brain when it comes to science of performance.
Dude, I'm about 5 minutes away from Ben's house right now. I'm up here visiting my father, and he kicked my ass around his obstacle course twice. So we went around one time. I'm like, okay, dude, it's enough. He's like, wait, we got one more round. It was brutal, man.
He knows
That's no joke.
He's a real deal.
He's the real deal, man.
It took us a while to find him, but we found him and locked him in, and he's going to do it for us. And so he wrote out the nutrition plan to get the results, and then also part of the physical training plan. So he kicked your ass. He wrote it out and said, hey, here's exactly what to do. Physical results.
But here's the deal. He kicked my ass on his course, but before I came up, I emailed him and asked him if he would coach me. He's like, of course I'd coach you. I think he must have enjoyed watching me sweat and cry and bleed. So we'll see.
Yep. And then the final guys with the movement, most people aren't moving enough. I remember as a busy entrepreneur when I was building my business, I would wake up, go do my 30-minute run on the beach to get my mindset right. Some days I'd go lift weights. Then I'd go to yoga in the afternoon. And I was like, dude, I'm in peak shape. And I would check how much I was moving, and I'd have like 4,000 steps for the day. I was like, that's shit. The average human used to move about 13 miles a day, and 4,000 steps is like maybe 2.5 miles.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I need to move more. And I need to figure out how the heck do I squeeze that movement in, because without the movement, your body slowly starts to shrink. And where it shrinks is when you're sitting, your hip flexors get tight, your shoulders get tight, your head gets tight, and you're slowly absorbing back into that fetal position. And if you don't move it, you lose it. And so the concept becomes, if you want to be one of those 90-year-old people running marathons and 70-year-old people doing backflips, you got to move. And so we come up with the most functional movements you can do to keep your body alive and functioning over time, so that really, truly, as you get older, you don't get the aches and pains and all the other nonsense that comes with that.
Right.
So that's the program.
That's badass. That's a great program. Everybody should get that.
Yeah.
Udemy. I mean, really, with that, those 11 points, that's incredible stuff, man.
And
that's,
so here's my thought. We're going to have a lot of people take that program. Udemy's had 15 million students use their platform over the years.
Yeah.
So as people are taking that program, the other thing we're looking for is coaches who will be ready on the other side, that when someone says, hey, I know what to do, I need someone to hold me accountable to do it.
Perfect.
We can have some trained coaches standing on the other side going, hey, we trained on exactly how to do that. Come on over here. We'll show you exactly how to hold your ass accountable to applying those 11 things in your life. I'll coach you through the process and I'll hold you to the highest standard. So there's going to be a nice lead in with a bunch of people interested in how to be held accountable to what they've learned from all these great experts we're sourcing in the program. And we want to tee up some great coaches to be standing on the other side with welcome and warm arms being, hey, come on over.
Okay,
We'd love to work with you.
So if people are understanding, and if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, is that this could be a lead source for anybody who applies now, becomes part of the coaching program right now, to have instant clients at the end of that.
Like I said, we're building up our team of coaches and we're teeing up lead sources, because my thought is I was pissed that I could only reach 52 clients a month one-on-one.
How exciting this is. Everybody excited?
My goal from the very beginning is that I wanted to be able to reach millions of people around the world.
Yeah.
And I know I can't do it on my own. And so for people who've watched this whole thing and been with us, I need your help. You know, if you have the right heart and you have the right passion and you have the right mindset that doesn't let shit stand in your way in life, and you truly want to help people and make a great living doing it, we'll support you and we'll tee up. We just need some more helpers, big-hearted people who want to go out and make a difference in other people's lives, because we have the experts to show people what to do. We have the package and training to show you how to coach them. And you know, ideally, we can train you up to be a badass before they're ready. And by the time they're ready, we'll be able to tee up some people and send them your way. And we've already started doing that. As clients come through that don't fit the demographic of who I work with, we already source out to some of our graduate coaches who have done the second level. They're certified coaches. We source out to them and we'll ping them and say, hey, got a client who came through. Their budget is $700 a month. They're looking for 2 sessions a month focused on X, Y, and Z. Will you do it? They'll ping back, yep, I'll do it. I'll say, great, here, you know, let's make it a business transaction. I'll take X% for sourcing it and for selling it. You get the rest of it for coaching them. Is that fair? Yes, great. I contracted it. We already received their funds. Go ahead and coach them. Done. Cool. So we're already doing it. And I'd love to continue growing out that span. So I know I have badass people focused on all kinds of stuff, because the neat part is, as of right now, we have a coach who's coaching mothers on how to really truly be the best mom they could be in the process, because she went through all kinds of lessons as a mom and really learned how to be the best mom possible. So we have someone on that. We have a coach who came through who coaches older men on a career transition as they're getting towards later stages of life, trying to figure out what's next. He coaches them on transitioning and figuring out the next step for them. We have a gentleman who does consulting for companies and then coaches on performance internally within companies. We have a marriage and family therapist who uses the tools with her clients. We have a personal trainer who uses it to coach and optimize performance of his personal training clients who want better performance as entrepreneurs and executives, physically, mentally, and emotionally. We have a lady in real estate who coaches, some younger women who've been abused on how to believe in themselves and regain their confidence. So we have profiles on all our coaches, and we keep track of what specifically they coach on, so we know how to source people when it's not a fit for me. I know to go, oh, but I could tell you exactly who could coach you on that, and I've trained them myself. They're badass. You're going to love them, and send them right over. Big stuff, Jairek. I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate what you're doing in the world. And to be honest, one more time, that won't last forever, because once we have 100 coaches profiles, we're not going to need to source another 100 coaches past that to say who's who. So 30 of them have come in so far. There's probably about 70 more spaces of that we'll be able to have. And then at that point, we have enough. Everyone else will be able to graduate and go get their own clients. And if and when we need more in the future, if someone drops out or something, we'll be able to resource them from the people we've trained. It's a huge opportunity. Yeah, it is a huge opportunity for people to, if they
And I think they're picking it up that to do this on their own outside of a program like this, it's work. It's work anyway. This is going to fast track it. It's going to plug and play the right people into the right program, and then get you applications and leads of your own, and clients of your own, so you can begin earning money in this space and make that happen fast. Compressing time frames is a good thing. Timing does matter. And so click that apply button. Go to the link again in the comments. Click the apply button, apply. Have a conversation. Start building some relationships and see if we get to play with this. Sounds awesome. Thanks again, Jairek. I think it's big. I love what you're up to, man. I mean, I told Kimberly a couple weeks ago, I said, I'm really looking forward to having, I was thinking small. I look back now, I'm laughing. It's like, oh, and I'm kind of embarrassed to even say this to you. So I want to have 100,000 people on my morning meditations, at once. I was like, wait a minute. It's a big internet. It's a big planet. I want to have 1 million people on,
But there's 7 billion people on the planet. So,
well, the Chicago study, right? That's why I love, like you and I were a little bit past the hour when we started, because we're talking about meditation and how powerful it is. When you take, and you can Google this, go to Chicago. Chicago has like the highest crime rate and homicide rate in the country. And there's some Buddhist monks that meditated over Chicago. They just meditated peace, love, and it decreased crime rate there like 22% documented at the time they were meditating. And so this stuff matters, man. This stuff really changes things. And, it's just a little tiny slice of what the coaching program will work on with you. So, again, I really appreciate you, Jairek. Any parting thoughts, my friend?
Really simple. Same message we work on everywhere we go, which is go out and learn what it takes to live the life you really desire. Live it fully. Make your life your message to the world, and live it so loudly that other people can see exactly what to do based on how you actually live. And once you figure out what works for you, find a way to turn around and pay it forward to other people and show them an example of something that does work, so that they can choose to either apply it themselves or at least learn from it in their own path. And I don't believe in teaching people the 7 golden pillars of how to live life. I more so say, hey, here's what's working for us and thousands of our clients. If it works for you, use it. If it doesn't, hope something in it helps, and let's go from there. So that it's the learn it, live it, give it philosophy. So learn what it takes to live the life of your dreams, go out and live it fully, make your life your message, and then find a way to turn around and pay it forward. And I think if more people are doing that, which they are nowadays, it just breeds a lot of abundance and a lot of growth for the planet itself.
It's beautiful. Well, I'm blessed to know you. I'm grateful that you had the time today to speak to me and this community that we've got. They're amazing people. And I appreciate you sharing this coaching program with not just us, but the planet. It's going to be a huge game changer. Be fun to look back over the next 5 years and see what happens because of it. It's going to be big. Jairek, you have a fabulous one, my friend. Everybody go get Jarek's book and apply. And that will be a full day for you. And hopefully we'll be chatting on the phones, or Jairek and his team will be chatting with you on the phones and putting you into a program that'll be a game changer for you. So take care, everybody. Thank you, Jairek. Tell Miss Amanda hello for us.
Will do.
And have a fabulous evening. Good night, everybody.